Welcome to Fit Club Vegas, the ultimate fitness destination for visitors. Drop in for a day pass and experience our 10,000 square foot fitness playground. At Fit Club, you'll find state-of-the-art equipment and a sound system so good you'll pitch your headphones. Conveniently located 7 to 12 minutes from the Las Vegas Strip, Fit Club is a perfect spot for you to come get your pump while visiting Sin City. So come check us out at 4525 West Hacienda, Las Vegas, Nevada. Fit Club Vegas, more than a gym, it's a vibe.
So now we have a guest on. We're not going to say who it is. Like, we're recording now.
Okay,
so we got about another 10 seconds before you can swear.
So I have. There's been this guest that I really wanted to say this, but I have to get past the 15-second mark before I can
because
say
then they'll
it.
demonetize if you swear too fast. Did you know
But
this?
you might have to. You still might have to mark it off anyway. You know. So we want to say. We want to say. Once again, we have a very special guest. Welcome, you motherfucker. It took you so long to come on our show.
You're fucking killing me, dude. I'm literally from 2000 to 2013 the biggest Jay Cutler fan on the planet.
Well, listen, man, I appreciate you coming on, man. It's great that you came to Vegas. You just walked in our office sweating your balls off, and you said, I love the heat.
Makes me feel
a little different from the humidity in Pennsylvania.
Oh,
right?
yeah, it's stupid humid. 90% humidity, 100% humidity, 90 degrees. It's like
and you're missing tornadoes at home right now.
Yeah, the microbursts are coming through. Hannah's texting me. She's like, dude, there's a tornado warning. I'm like, she's going to lose it.
You know, it's funny. So I texted him the other day, and I said, I heard you're coming to Vegas. Like, who did you find out from? He's like, Seth's coming. I said, I'm hitting him. We're bringing because we wanted you to come on.
This is the first time of me hearing to be on this podcast. I am unbelievably excited right now. Like I said, whenever we do, I don't know, you were my bodybuilding idol. Like, I still have the poster of you that you signed for me, and I think it was 2001, 2002 at the Muscle Tech booth. In the Arnold at the Arnold.
You waited in that long-ass line?
Oh, yeah. I waited in the line, It's a full poster, dude. It's a huge poster. And I still have it in my office. We're moving into our new headquarters, and I'm like, I have a spot
I'm gonna send you a new quad stomp poster specifically just for your brand new office. Congratulations on the growth. You're here for a huge reason, right?
Yeah, with GNC. Yeah, it's awesome.
Why don't you make that announcement, man?
Yeah, thank you. No, we're going back in the GNC, which is really cool. I'm really excited about it because it just creates opportunity.
Axe and Sledge and
GNC. We have a couple exclusive products just for them. I said whenever. I'll say we had a really good conversation. Like whenever I took it was me and our CFO. We went in to see the corporate guys at GNC. And I was like,
down the street.
Yeah, right down the street from us. And that's the whole thing because they're a Pittsburgh-based company, and they wanted an edge. And that was the thing. They were like, Seth, we want an edge. I'm like, well, motherfucker, that's me. Yeah. And I'm like, and they're like, well, what can we do together? And I'm like, well, first off, I heard you're a little bit of a fucking asshole. And Gino, our CFO, looks at me, he's like, all right. And I was like, and they were like, yeah, you're right. That can happen. I'm like, great, we're making progress already. We're being honest with each other. And then we sat down, had a really great conversation about what we could do together to do something cool, not only for them as a company, but also for us. Because growth is something that's super scary. It's difficult. It's anxiety-driven. You get nervous. It's fun. But at the same time, that opportunity for growth I take really personal because I love employing people. I think it's the coolest thing in the world. We have a little bit over 40 employees right now, and then with the gymnastics, like 48. So it's something that I'm like, man, I never thought I'd be in this position. So to have an opportunity for growth to create more opportunity for people, I'm in. I am a workaholic. I am turning into a version of my dad, and he was just a workaholic. And now I'm like, yep, I'm just fucking born into it, and this is who I am, and I absolutely love it. But it was a great conversation with corporate GNC, and we'll see how it goes. I'm excited.
How was the event for you guys? Did you get to meet the people? I mean, obviously it's the franchisees, right?
It was all district managers, all regional managers, and then about 2/3 of the franchises showed up, and it was great. We had a really great weekend. They all are very excited and they're ready. So it's super cool, very beneficial. And dude, the thing is, they're all still all normal people. You know what I mean? They're all good people. It's just corporate is corporate, and they have a way of doing things, and then franchisees are just mom and pop people that own GNCs, and they hustle just as any other mom and pop shop do, but they have to follow the guidelines of GNC. So
I think a lot of the transitions, a lot of these stores that were corporate stores got sold as to franchisees, right? And there's several, at least I know a couple that own over 10 stores each, right? So, I used to do a lot of touring I did a bus tour back in the day. I mean, Ronnie Cole and myself, like we launched in GNC, so I was hitting every location, including military bases, and which was really cool, right?
I remember it.
And, it's a great outlet. I mean, I picked up my first bottle of protein when I was 18 from a GNC, because it was like we used to say, that GNC down the street, which before mom and pop stores came about, and I know they support your brand really well.
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, even Vegas Discount, I think they all carry your stuff here.
And the thing is, whenever with owning a supplement company, I look at it as no one has just one company in their store. Nobody does. It's about the customer. Mm-hmm. What kind of cool shit can you do for your customers? And with all of our mom and pop shops and all the brick and mortar stores that we work with, this year was the year where I was like, we're going to do cool shit for these people. We did a ton of limited drops. Dude, these stores were selling out. Everybody was like, foot traffic is so high for your company. And I'm like, good, because we're on one. Our goal is to make it fun for the consumer. Because if you make it fun for the consumer, it's a guaranteed sell. It's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to make good shit. You're supposed to make a good quality product that people want to just be a part of. And
cool names, too.
Cool names, fun. It should be like, dude, I grew up doing blue collar work. Dude, long days of working outside sucks. So like, you're like, what can I do to like take my mind off of things, or what can I do to get away? The gym was my place. So it's like, if I got to take a cool pre-workout or get a cool protein bar after I got done working out, or a cool protein shake, like that's what I look forward to. So I was like, if I have that opportunity, whatever I provide to the consumer, they should be able to pull out of their gym bag and be like, fucking A, this is going to be cool. This is going to be great. So, and having that mindset, all of the people that work for us have been able to make that come to life. And like, we did a ton of limited exclusive drops with just in stores, and it worked really well this year. And the company is on an upward
Well, what
trajectory.
I love about your background is, like, we can talk about supplements and everything else, but like, it started as a bodybuilding career. Yeah. And I think you had this dream maybe to be Mr. Olympia, and you were well on your way, and you kind of just stepped away, man, like at a peak.
Now I'm sweating.
Like you stepped away at a time where you were like talked about as the next.
Yeah, I know, dude. Honey drives it into my head and kills me. And it's
at
funny.
A young age too, man.
Yeah.
How old were you when you stepped away?
26. Wow. So
I was close to your prime yet.
I'm going to say it again. I was a huge Jay Cutler fan. Okay, huge. Whenever I started lifting weights because I was a fat kid, 13 years old, and then I started getting into lifting weights 14, 15, 16, and at about 16 years old, I was like, hey, I really like this shit. This is really cool. I'm into it. Would start buying all the magazines, Muscular Development, and then whenever you were always in the what was the first supplement company you were sponsored by?
ISS. It became that sold the bars for $400 million. They sold the company and all that.
No shit.
Yeah, the one bar. It sold to Hershey.
That was them?
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So I'd see you in the ads. I remember the ads in my head, like the black background, all this shit.
Yeah.
And then whenever you came to life in early 2000s, because I remember you came to the Pittsburgh, and the first time I saw you, you were walking down the hallway, you were all tanned up, and your fucking calves looked like half a ham. Yeah. And I'm like, man, that's Jay Cutler. I was like, this is so cool. And my buddy still has a picture of us. I was
Were you
17.
competing? Oh, you weren't competing.
No, I was 17 years
Okay.
old and that's when I was like, I'm big Jay Cutler fan. And it just kept going from there. And, wait in lines and always do that. But you had a strong influence on me because, dude, you just were always there.
Yeah.
Always around. Never left. Every single time at the Arnold, you just said, I always had this joke where Jay says like 40, 45 words. You were always right down the middle with everybody. You took the time for everybody. You said hi. People would see you. You remembered everybody. And I was like, this motherfucker don't miss.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, if I ever get the opportunity to do this, I want to have a piece of that. I want to make sure that I'm like a man of the people. And as I continued to go and get into bodybuilding, I was like, I'm going to compete one day and it's going to be awesome. And then I finally decided to compete when I was 24 years old, whenever it was 2009. And I was ready, killed it at the Northern Kentucky, won the show, and then went to the Pittsburgh, won that. And right before that's when I met Hani, got hooked up with him. And he's like, dude, we're going to go hard. I'm like, yeah, let's go. And then 9 months later, won my pro card at Nationals. And that was the same year that you did you had the comeback.
Yeah.
Hani was
Quad
working
stomp,
with you, the quad stomp, the whole nine, everything's there. Saw you at Nationals, and I'm like, oh my God.
Was that Miami that you won, or?
Yeah, Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, I remember, yeah.
Yeah, because in that same weekend, I was broke as fuck. I had no money, didn't know what I was doing, just trying to make it. And I'm posing for Hani in his room, and Phil Heath walked in, and I'm like, that's Phil Heath.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this is nuts. Holy shit. And he's in there just drinking the Glycoject.
Yeah, yeah.
Because Hani was making me like
it was kind of unmarked right then, right?
Yep. Yeah. And Phil came in, he was like, don't mind if I do, made himself one up. I'm like, why does he get a whole scoop? I get I don't get that.
Yeah.
And then later on, Jay, you were there. You were walking down the hallway, and Hani's like, introduced me to you, and I'm like, man, this might be the most surreal fucking experience of my entire life. I got my pro card, saw Phil Heath.
Did you win the overall, or?
No, I lost to Cedric.
Oh, okay.
That was he and I going head-to-head there.
Yeah, Kevin even helped him for that show, actually. Cedric. Yeah, he trained him for that.
Yeah.
Kevin, my buddy Kevin. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and then...
he came kind of out of nowhere. Everyone was shocked to see Cedric, I mean, he had crazy potential then, but...
That guy, in backstage, he was just the life of the party.
Yeah.
He was such a good dude. It was so much fun.
But, I mean, listen, man, you had the physique, man.
And that's what happened. So then everything was going good, and then my life just kind of fell apart. Personally, my ex-wife, things didn't go so well. She just fell apart as a human being, got really into drugs, and that's whenever I was like, man, is it my fault for being so focused on bodybuilding? How could I save this person? Yada, yada, yada. And then just up and left bodybuilding. I blamed people that I shouldn't have blamed. I said, Hani fucked up everything. It was his fault. And then, meanwhile, I was just young and dumb. It was my fault. It was on me. My life fell apart, and I was brokenhearted. I was a mess, and I just wanted my family to fix. And meanwhile, now all this, I was just really excited to be a bodybuilder. And I was making good money. Then I lost contracts with muscular development. But I was like, fuck, what should I do? And I just went and disappeared. I didn't know how Hani looked at me because he never told me, really good job.
Mm-hmm.
Then when I decided to come back...
He never liked to, actually. He never liked to say anyone praise to people.
No. So, came back in the industry in 2016, had my companies, decided I'm going to own my companies. I'm going to go hard at it and dedicate my life to it because I realized that it wasn't my fault. My ex-wife just was in a really bad spot, and you couldn't fix somebody you don't want no saving. So, and that's whenever I found out how highly regarded I actually was. Nobody ever told me, nobody was ever like, Seth, dude, you have the potential to be like a young, small, mini Dorian Yates. And I'm like, excuse me, what was that? What did you just call me? He's like, Seth, he's like, we trained a few years together. And he's like, he had on his 2020 Olympia shirt. He's like, you should have one of these. And I'm like, what the fuck you mean? He's like, you owe me one of these. And I'm like, did you actually think of me like that, you motherfucker? I want to choke the shit out of you right now. But and at the time, looking back at it, and that's why I try and be so positive for these young guys and say, dude, you are your own limit. If you can do it, you are your own limit. It's in your head. It was in my head. I was in such a bad headspace that I didn't think that highly of myself to actually get there. And I'm like, now looking back, I'm like, just let myself eat myself. And that's my biggest regret. My biggest regret in everything is the fact that I didn't compete more because I have all this cool shit and I'm so grateful for it. But at a personal point, I'm like, I should have competed more. That's why I tell all these young dudes, whatever happens if you lose a show, fuck it, dude.
Yeah.
People move on so fast, and just because you screw up at one show doesn't mean it's the end of the world.
There's another one.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You know why it's kind of crazy to me is you'd the broke, discouraged, and then revitalized, right? Business that maybe you weren't did you grow up as a business guy, or did you have any?
My dad had a small business, grew up doing it.
But it's kind of funny because we know Bobby, who's your partner.
Yeah.
And you worked with Bobby. And I remember literally, Matt and I have been friends since 2007, like on a day-to-day basis. And I remember when he was working, because he used to call me with this former business and like, hey, do you have any people in different places? And he's like, oh, Seth, he's starting this clothing brand, All-American Roughneck. And I'm like, that's kind of different, and it was like, I don't know if you were chopping wood or doing some craziness, right? And I'm like, this is different. And that was the dream, right? Like, hey, we're going to build this clothing. And I started to hear about the clothing, right? And I remember when all of a sudden Matt called me and said, oh, Axe and Sledge, that's a different name. We were kind of like a little confused at first, but
a little confused.
Now looking back and now seeing like this whole journey over the last 10 years. Oh, how long has it been in business now?
6 years.
6 years. So
8 for AAR. Yeah.
And I didn't know if you even remembered this. In 2015, you came in to a place I was at.
Yeah.
And me, you, the person, and Bob sat down in the office, and you said you were going to do this clothing line. You said the whole thing. And this person was like, that's a terrible idea. And I'm like, it's a great idea.
Yeah.
He's like, what do you mean? And I said, All-American Roughneck? Every hillbilly across America is going to support you. And then I saw you guys go in a direction. I looked for it I just moved to a new house.
Yeah.
I still have the mossy oak one that you sent me. I still have it. It's in a box somewhere in my house.
Yeah.
And I remembered Bob saying, I quit. I'm going to do this. And then it just took off. And I'm just like, from the sideline, because I don't talk to you guys very often. I'm always like, get him, do it. I'm so excited.
It was because Bob, I remember because whenever he said that, he's like, because everybody left that company.
Of course.
Everybody left that company. But when Bob was like, I'm done, I'm like, hey, dude, we don't quite have the money to support it. He's like, I'm selling my fucking car. And we have 11 grand.
You had a BMW.
Yeah. He's like, I'm selling the fucking car. And he's like, I'm going to live off the money from the car for 11 months. And whatever we can make, if we don't make it in 11 months, then we shouldn't make it at all. And that was his and I agreement was like, I was like, Bob, I can't give you any money. I was like, handshake. But if we make it, I'll give you 50% of everything I do. I will give you half of everything. He's like, I'll take that deal. That was a handshake that he and I have been lived up to now.
Were you certain that did you have confidence like this thing's going to take off, or was there a little bit of doubt?
Oh, dude, of course there's going to be ups and downs and doubts.
But this is before people were really doing clothing like now. Now everyone has there's every brand, right? I mean,
8 years ago, I was like, I didn't have anything to lose, and I was like, I'm just going to work as hard as I can. I was like, fuck it, because at that time my life was pretty rough. Like I wasn't like my personal life wasn't awesome. I was a single dad. So taking care of 2 girls on my own, it sucked.
And the girls are how old at this age? Like at this time?
7 and 3.
Wow.
Oh yeah, Adeline, my oldest, she'll be 17 here shortly. There's pictures of us packing orders upstairs at my dad's shop, and my 3-year-old, it's 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. We're packing orders.
So you were packing and shipping everything yourself?
Oh yeah, and Emmy was 3 years old, and she's sleeping on cardboard with a blankie in the shop upstairs. And I'm like people think like, oh, Seth has this big beautiful home now and his $1 million pool and all this shit. I'm like, guys, I worked really hard. Like my kids used to sleep on the fucking cardboard while I packed orders in a shop. And it was dusty and shit, but it was like, that's what you guys supported us to get to this point. And it's like, I'm nothing special. I'm just ruthless at the ability to work hard. That's all I'll do.
I remember we went to the American Fitness Expo, the first one I brought you down. And you guys you and Bob came down, and I remember you saying, I don't know if we were on the phone before you came down, you're like, I just put up $30,000 in order. It's my life savings. He was on the phone. We were talking about coming, and he's like, I don't know if this is going to work. I just spent everything. And he's just rambling about how scared he was.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, if you never had $30,000, you're like, $30,000 is really nice. And then you're like, I don't have $30,000 anymore. It's all gone. And then we just continued to do that. And I'm like, hey, this is actually going to work. And like it turned into, whenever we say like 4 turned into 8, 8 turned into 16. That's all.
I know, but how did you sell this for the future entrepreneurs out there? Did you just go on your social media and you were like, hey, guys, I have a new shirt? Do you remember the exact first drop you did?
Yep. I wanted to whenever I was coming up in bodybuilding, I was so excited. Muscle Tech sponsored me, muscular development. I was the great white hype. You know what I mean? But I was still a foul-mouthed prick from Western PA, dude.
Yeah.
I was just I grew up in a wood shop. But, who buys supplements? Clean-cut white kids. Like that was the pitch. It's like clean cut white kids buy supplements, and I'm like, well, then I got to be like a clean cut white guy. I should do that for the kids and this and that so I can make money, because I'll do anything to make money, because I had no money 6 months ago. And now I'm getting paid $100,000 a year, 50 from you, 50 from you. And I'm like, I got a lot of potential here. It's like, I'll do whatever you want. And then things didn't work out. So whenever I came back with AAR, I was like, because I was working in, I was a safety consultant. So I was in construction, oil and gas. Like I was working around all these rough dudes that I loved. I was like, this is who I grew up with. Degenerates. They work hard. They're kind of mean as fuck. They'll tell me, they'll look at me and be like, hey, kid, get the fuck out of my face right now. I'll be like, no. And dude, we got to come to an agreement on this. Yeah. And then I realized that these are just really good dudes.
Yeah.
They have daughters that are trying to go to college. They're working 70 hours a week to make the overtime to make sure that they can pay for college. I'm like, hey, these are actually really good dudes. So then, and as I was driving, the one year I drove about 62,000 miles. So I was driving 1,000 miles a week, a little over 1,000 miles a week. And I just kept on saying, I want to come back into the industry. Jason Ha was like, hey, dude, the industry would love to have someone like you. I'm like, I don't know anything about it. And he's like, social media, Instagram, this and that.
Yeah, you didn't even have Instagram when you came there.
No, I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
And then he was like, and he's like, and I'm like, what would I come back with? And I was like, the apparel. And then I'm like, but who would I be? And I'm like, you'd be yourself, you dickhead. And at the time I had a big beard. I was getting jacked again. And I'm like, well, I'd probably use bodybuilding. And then I was like, I'm just going to be me, the fucking rough dude that I am. And I'm like, I work around a bunch of roughnecks, ignorant, like funny, kind of degenerates, got some bad qualities, the energy drinks, the cigarettes, the snuff, like everything. I'm like,
snuff, yeah. I haven't heard that name in a long time. That's a Midwest thing.
Yeah.
So,
snuff.
And I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, throw it chewing. You're like, and I was like, all-American roughneck, that's what I am. That's who I'm going to be. And I was like, oh, I wonder if anybody has this name. I looked it up, and I'm like, nobody has that name. I'm like, holy fuck. I was like, I have to buy the name. How do I buy the name? I started looking up how to buy a domain, all this stuff, and I was like, okay. And as I'm driving 1,000 miles a week, I had all this time to myself, and I just sit there and listen to tunes and think about what I would do and how I would do it. And I was like, cool. My plan is just to be myself. I like lifting weights, splitting wood, being a family man, and doing cool shit. Shooting guns, being me. So then I was like, let's just come up with this and use the bodybuilding platform to it, because I think a lot of dudes like to lift weights. Some can't be bodybuilders. They train 3 to 4 days a week. They like all the same things I do. That's who our demographic's going to be. I'm just going to be me, not anybody else. And then lo and behold, all the marketing, because whenever I was thinking, I was like, I don't know how to design a shirt, though. I was like, I know one guy that does.
I was just going to ask you, how did you and Bob know each other?
Well, we're from Isolator.
Okay.
That was it.
Okay.
Was it, because I remember he was just a 20-year-old kid at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know one guy that knows how to work a camera, make a website.
He was good, huh?
And design shit. Yeah.
So did he do his thing?
He honestly did everything.
Did he teach himself or?
Yeah. Self-taught.
Really?
Kind of like how I learned how to do all this, just YouTube, just learn on your own.
Yeah.
So he was the guy like, he can design a shirt.
I called him and I was like, hey, I got this idea, and pitched it to him, and he's like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then I was like, I'll come out and talk to you.
How far a drive was it?
4.5 hours.
Really?
Yeah, he came in the office one day. He just walked in.
Yeah, I walked in the office, and everybody was like, who the fuck are you? Because you do not look like the guy you were from 4 years ago. I had a beard. I was like the brawny man from the paper towel stuff. And everybody's like, dude, you wearing a flannel and got a big beard? Who the fuck are you? And then I was, and then told the idea, and it was the day of my birthday. We still have pictures of me and Bob meeting together. And it was my birthday in November. And
were you there?
I don't know if maybe not that. I was when he
that
came
day,
in the
and
day
then
I was
night,
there. Yeah,
that night, Bob and I sat down and talked, and I was like, "Hey, dude," and we were talking. He's like, "This is killer." I was like, "There's one catch, though. I can't give you no money." He's like,
"No, Bob would for probably the next couple months." He would have hats, and he'd show them to me and show me the different. Like I said, I have the Mossy Oak one. It's somewhere.
They stopped making it after COVID.
Yep.
So, did you guys sit there? Or did you let him kind of come up with the concepts based on kind of the pitch you gave him?
I say this about what Bob did out of the gate, because Bob wasn't like a roughneck type of guy.
Yeah.
But I gave him the ideas, and I always say I'm Bob's muse. I'm like all the designers' muse. I have all these ideas, and I spit out all this random shit. I'll have like stick figure drawings. I had a whole notebook full of stick figure drawings of shirts and ideas and all this marketing stuff. I was like, That's what I got to. And he's like laughing at me because I have a notebook, like a little flip pad full of all this shit.
Yeah.
And I handed it to him, and I was like, just make it happen on that computer. And then he just brought everything to life.
Yep.
Brought it all to life. And I remember
Jason.
What's that?
Him and Jason.
Yep, and Jay's still with us. He's a photographer. Jay's still with us, Yeah, he's...
So, Jason Ha, like, were you friendly with him at the time? Because he launched the clothes first, and then he ended up doing supplements. But what was his clothing brand?
Murder It.
That's right.
Yeah.
I remember them talking about it at my office in Florida. They're like, hey, Jason Ha's shirts. They were ordering them, and I'm like, what is this thing?
Yeah. Yeah, he was... Because I remember the... Dana and Rob, they had Flag Nor Fail, and they were like the first ones to like kind of pioneer this whole
saying thing.
Yeah,
like
this apparel brand that had the saying, and they did it all themselves in-house, created all this stuff. And then Jason he was doing it, and then I called him to help me out with, because whenever I disappeared, my hormones were all over the place. I was like, hey, dude, can you give me a hand here? I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And he's like, yeah. So he started helping me with getting all my blood work straightened out and looking good. And then that's whenever we just built more of a friendship than we did back in 2010. And he was like, man, he's like, the industry would love to have you back. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, dude, you should come back. He's like, you're a good dude. He's like, people would love to resonate with you. He's like, I'm killing it with T-shirts. He's like, come back with something. It'd be great to see you. And that was where it all started within my head.
So it was mainly T-shirts to start, though,
T-shirts
right?
and hats, yeah. $2,200. Had no money. I spent all my money trying to save my ex-wife.
I still remember like the different AR designs with the A and the gun this way and the gun that way. And the AR-15 with and then the handgun and
bunch of different stuff. But then and it was funny because in 2016 you were at the Pittsburgh. We were at Soldiers and Sailors, and we were backstage, or we were watching the show, and you were like, hey, this is pretty cool. I think it's going to work. I was like, you think so? And you're like, yeah, it's different. Yeah, it's going to work. And then, sure enough, it just, because then at the American Fit Expo, you were there at that too. And I remember doing cardio because we were doing better. And he's like, going well, huh? And I'm like, yeah. And you're like, I knew it would. And now here we are. I'm like, man, it's crazy how if you just stay persistent on things and just be open for criticism, don't take things too serious, and understand that there are people that are going to want to see you fail a little bit. But then there's also people that want to genuinely see you succeed.
I think more people cheer you on. And honestly, you do your podcast, which is like just straight wide open, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I love that. I mean, that's what the industry needs sometimes. But, what is it like to wake up every day and love what you do? How important is that for your mental?
I have, like I said, I have such a cool life. I was talking about my regrets not competing more, and that's where I'm like, Seth, you're such an asshole. You wanted everything, you got everything. It is very surreal. I mean, I get to do what I love. I've always wanted to just do cool shit, like just keep terming that. But to make supplements, T-shirts, all kinds of custom apparel, like we do our own cargo shorts now, for God's sakes. You know what I mean? It's like
where you're wearing them.
Yeah, it's like how cool can it be to work with people who also have a passion for those things and all of these things that I thought in my head, and to have people support it as well. It's the coolest thing in the world. Super stressful, but I'm like, I brought all the stress upon myself. All of it was brought on by myself. So it's like, it's really cool. And to have the family that I do, dude, I just like it. It's the coolest thing in the world. I will not complain. I cannot complain.
But you think sharing your personal time is important too for what you do? Because I feel like you show like kind of what you do. I mean, you just talked about the gymnastics thing, and like you talk about that stuff. That's important, right?
Oh, I think, dude, we're not one dimensional. Like, how many other things are you involved in?
I mean, I showcase so much. I mean, it's just like the day to day. And, I sometimes say my life is pretty boring because it's like the same thing day in and day out. But to other people, it's like, wow, you live this crazy lifestyle. And I'm like, I don't know if it's that crazy, right?
It's just my life.
I mean, you don't look at it that way. But I wake up every day so happy and so motivated. I mean, when you look forward to Sundays and Mondays, and like as a kid, you never liked Sundays and Mondays because you knew it was one day closer to going back to school, and then it was the first day of school, and you were tired, and like you just want the weekend to hurry up and come, right?
Every day is, it is kind of Groundhog's Day, like you said, but it's awesome. Like I don't know, man.
I felt like you've made a big, like you were making a step towards physique, showcasing your physique the last couple years, though, man. Like,
yeah.
What's the deal with that?
He's competing again. I'm just kidding.
We're
gonna get you too. We're gonna get you back on stage.
I know, but you show you.
Oh, I love it.
You have no problem taking your shirt off, and you're doing. Like I watched you train with no weights.
Oh yeah, the functional stuff.
Yeah, and I was man, and I always wonder, dude, how do you look the way you do? I mean, your body weight wasn't. I was surprised when you actually said your body weight was like under two. Was it under
right now? I'm like 217. I was like, my lightest, I was like 203.
Okay, and I was surprised because you looked so jacked, dude. You still had crazy legs and crazy calves.
Hence the bullshit now. Hence the bullshit now. I'm like, it's still there. It didn't lose it because I was like, hey, like I turned 40 this year, and I was like, fuck, dude. I was like, maybe one more time. Maybe. Do I still have it? I think I still have it. Because the biggest thing that goes is your legs. And my legs still got it. They still pop. They still
for not training them like with extreme anything, right?
This year, at the beginning of the year, I was like, okay, so there's a young kid Ty that works for us, and he did the Pittsburgh show, young kid, and I was like, cool. You know what? I was like, I got tired of the functional training. I was like, I'm gonna train like a bodybuilder, do bro split, old school stuff for like the next 12 to 14 weeks. Well, I usually eat like a 50% vegan, meat, fruits, and veggies. And I was like, and I've always been I take roughly like 200 milligrams of testosterone a week. Okay, get my blood work done. Everything's good. I'm like, everything's been really good for about 3.5 years. Everything's great. I was like, wonder if I still got it. I was like, and everybody's going to give me shit because I made the videos that steroids will kill you, which they will fuck you up if you're not careful and you don't pay attention to your shit. I was like, this is for me. I was like, just to see if I still have it, and it'll let me know, Seth, if you want to do it, you don't got much longer, but there's a way to there's a way to limit those factors.
Risks,
yeah, the risks. And I was like, all right, so I doubled my testosterone, and I started eating much, much more. I started eating like a bodybuilder, 6 meals a day, because I usually just ate 3 meals a day. Didn't need it. I was just doing functional training. So I moved up to 6 meals a day, and I gained 13 pounds in 12 weeks. Solid-ass motherfucking pounds. I was up to like 223 a.m. weight, fasted, nothing in me, and I'm like, hey, I got big as fuck really quick. And I didn't do anything too drastic. Just took some more tests, and that was it. And started training really hard. Eating a lot more food. And then I'm like, oh, no. So then Bob was like, hey, he's like, you're really big right now. and then I whenever we went down to Mexico and I saw Hani, because we went to that Mexico event, and we trained together, and I was like, what do you think? He's like, and Derek is just gaslighting everything. He's like, dude, you got to do it. You look great. You should do it.
This is for Felix's event.
Yeah, for Felix. Yeah. And then I was like, honey, what do you think? And he's like, you're good. He's like, you shouldn't just be good. He's like, if you're going to do, you got to be great. I was like, that's kind of how I feel. He's like, don't listen to Derek. I was like, yeah. And he's like, he's just blowing smoke up your ass. He's like, you're kind of shallow in the shoulders. He's like, your upper chest it's okay. I'm like, can we fix it? He's like, if you want to. I was like, you think we could? And he's like, yeah, your legs need some work too. And he's like, in your stomach. He's like, you're not training abs enough.
So is there anything right with you?
That's the thing. And I'm like,
very honest, yeah.
And then as I'm standing there, I'm looking at him, and I was like, you know, I love and hate you at the same time. He's like, yeah. He's like, because you're not supposed to just be good, dude. He's like, you were never just supposed to be good. And then that's like the dagger to my heart that I'm like, you said it again, dude. Because that's the thing that like, and I'm just being super open and honest, and people will say, oh, you should have did this, or, you know, you said this years ago. Dude, as years tick by and time goes by, like, I don't know, you kind of question what you should be doing. And I don't want to live my life and say woulda, coulda, shoulda. I don't. I have a lot to be grateful for, and I'm thankful for it. But at the same time, who wouldn't want to try and do, if you have this opportunity, who wouldn't? What meathead wouldn't take the opportunity, you know? Wouldn't.
Do you feel that you're, like, when you were putting that time back in the meals and the consistency, I mean, you feel good, but, like, did it take from your business? That's
the nerve-wracking part.
Yeah.
That's the part.
As you're trying to expand always, right? You're always trying to stay ahead and work on innovation. And
we have a lot of really good people, but that's the thing in the back of my head. Because I think if I took 18 weeks, a lot could happen in 18 weeks. But it's at that same time, at what cost?
Sacrifice.
Is it? I have the greatest home life in the world, Hannah is the greatest thing that ever happened to me. I have a joke. My mom would always say that, like, she's an angel. She's the angel that you deserved. And I'm like, I didn't say it to my mom, but I'll say it here because it's funny as hell. I was like, angels don't suck that good a dick. I was like, she's not an angel, but...
I hope his mom doesn't watch this. She's going to hate you and me.
She's like, I was like, in my head, because I'm like, yeah, but Hannah is the greatest thing that ever happened.
He probably already said it on his podcast anyway.
I probably said it somewhere, but I rarely say it because I'm trying, you know. But at the same time, when you have a great significant other, when you have a significant other that treats you good and loves you more than anything in the world, you're like, man, you really love me. This is great. But it feels good, and that's why I'm like, I'm not so worried about my home life because she loves me. I've had some really rough times over the past several years with business, but she sticks with me and takes care of the kids. She takes care of 2 kids that aren't hers. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I couldn't imagine living that, so I make sure that I dedicate as much time to whenever I'm home, I'm dad. Whenever something comes up with work, I step away, and she's like, yeah, I get it. And I'm like, man, how can I not just, I have the greatest home life I could. So I'm not like worried about the home life portion of it. It's more or less the business and making sure that, because there's a lot of people that rely on the business. We employ over 40 people. So I'm like, fuck, got to make sure it's good. And it's not that we don't have good people that couldn't handle it. It's just, that's a fear that lives in my head.
You train at the gym at your office?
Mm-hmm.
Or?
Yeah.
You still go to public gyms at all? Or?
I haven't been to I went to a public gym in San Diego, and it scared me.
Really?
Oh, dude, there were so many people. I'm like, this is what people train at.
So you were kind of an introvert, you think?
Yeah.
I know, but how do you meet with these fans so well and like?
Oh, this is different. This is where I love the people, but like whenever I'm training, I don't
feel like you just want to zone in. And
yeah. I miss the public gym to a certain extent, but we got people. There's people always training in our gym, so it's just us bros, and they enjoy it because they get to, like, whenever they're training for a show, they're able to take their shirts off at the gym, just feel cool, and be like, do their videos, and
it looks hot in your gym now.
It's hot as fuck.
No AC,
no AC,
no heat.
No, we got heat.
I was going to say, then you're really a machine.
We're moving into the new building in August, and we're going to move our gym, and it's going to be, there's a garage on the property, and so we're going to design a whole new garage gym. We're going to get some new equipment. I want to do some old school stuff for legs. I want to get, and then some of the new stuff. I heard new tech is incredible stuff. And then, yeah, I'd love to, because there's a few pieces that they were talking about. They're like, dude, the adjustments will blow your mind.
Have you been on them yet?
No, I never tried anything.
I'll go take you to see them, or if you want when we're done here.
Sweet. And and I want it to be cool because all the people that work for us should have a cool gym too, and it's a perk of working there. But that's what lives in the back of my head. It does. And, yeah.
What is your favorite part about being an entrepreneur and being your own boss? Can you imagine punching a clock for someone again? I can't see you ever working for anyone.
No, I don't think I don't do well with authoritative figures.
I wouldn't think so.
I never did. I think it's definitely part of my father because he was that way. He just did his shit. He just worked really hard. And whenever he would have like a really shitty certain period of time, he'd be like, man, I just wish I was just someone's right hand. You know, I don't want to be the owner. But then like now I'm like, that's who you're supposed to be, Dad. You were supposed to be that guy, and I'm supposed to be this guy. But I don't stop working. I work morning, noon, and night.
Tell me what your take is on today's bodybuilding.
So,
like, are you a fan of a Derek Lunsford, Hottie, Battle? I mean, you watched me and Ronnie for years, right?
Jay's gonna make. Here comes the reels for the shit talking. No, dude. I have so many questions for you. I want to interview you about stories that I heard over the years that I find so fascinating that I used to live as a teenager and be like, man, I wonder if that's true. Like whenever I turn pro, I'm gonna get special growth hormone. That's gonna happen. That doesn't happen, Seth.
No, it doesn't happen, man. Like,
you're like, I'm gonna get this huge sponsorship, and they're gonna tell me who to get stuff from. That doesn't.
You know, it's like this. It's like people when they say, well, you know, growth hormone guts and that kind of stuff. Yeah. And I said, listen, man, I did all that stuff. And I never had a gut, right? I had a wide waist, but I never had an actual distension. So I don't think that would be a case, you know, as far as...
No, I don't think it is.
It's overeating, I feel like, and I feel like people's structure sometimes is...
I think it's overeating and just poor control.
Yes.
And not paying attention to what foods
And I
work
train
for
my
you.
midsection all the time also. Like, even now, I literally train my abs every other day. I train 7 days a week. I love training. I hated competing.
Really?
Yes. Because it was so hard to land that plane every time. And listen, you could ask Hani the stories when we worked with Chris Aceto.
Yep.
So for me, the challenge of always peaking and being better, as a bodybuilder, we strive to be better every time, right?
Yep.
And unfortunately, you can't get better. You can, and then you reach that point where it's like you miss, and then you might hit it again a little better, but you always chasing the dragon of like 2001.
Yep.
And it took me to 2009 to come back and realize that condition again. And then I thought, okay, can I do it again? And I mean, even after 2009, dude, Hani and I sat down and I said, how do I get better for 2010? He said, you can't. He said, you're going to have trouble looking as good as this.
That's at 99.4%.
We all hit that once in a lifetime, and you could probably tell me, hey, Seth, what was your best ever?
Yeah.
What was your best?
I think it was nationals. Just because in the weight cap, whenever I did 2010, at the end, that was whenever I was 209 pounds, and he's like, motherfucker, he's like, you are on. Well, we were 2 weeks out, and he's like, we got to pull weight off you. That was the first time I took T3.
Because it was 202 then.
Yeah, it was 202 then. It wasn't 212.
Yeah.
And then my ego got the best of me, and I thought I should be with the big boys and all that because it was 202, but then it went to 212, all that.
But what do you think about today's bodybuilding versus the era you witnessed when you came into the pros? And
it's a whole different look. You know what I mean? It is a different.
I know, but how would you classify the look? I mean, you've probably said it before, but me and Ronnie got really big, right?
Dude, you guys were the greatest rivalry in all of bodybuilding. Nothing touched it.
Do you think it will ever be rivaled?
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't.
Because I think that it was a genuine, like, I'm going to do everything I can to beat you. And it's not that these guys aren't doing that today, but it was just a different look. It was a different era. Like, it was the first time mass monsters were a thing. Like, seeing Jay Cutler and Ronnie Coleman over 300 pounds together on stage in the offseason was a spectacle to be seen. I couldn't imagine that happening with social media today. Holy fuck. It was just magazines and hearsay.
Yeah, but I mean, Samson's 320.
Yeah, but it's different. I don't think, dude, he doesn't have the same freak factor as Ronnie Coleman did.
Did Big Ramy. Not really, right?
I think Big Ramy, I think it was 2020 whenever he looked crazy, but even then
but you watch him was at Pittsburgh a million times.
It's not that Ronnie had a graininess to him when he was over 300.
It was just wild. I remember watching Ronnie sign autographs and his bicep just shaking, and I'm like, that dude's got 25-inch arms. It
was 24s, actually. I measured them.
Yeah,
it was in a magazine.
Yeah, we measured each other's arms,
But it was, I think it was, again, I might be biased just because that was the year that got me into it. But I think today with the guys, like, Derek's incredible.
I know, but listen, we got two guys that were 212 champions.
I know.
And we have a hell of a 212 champion with Keon Pearson.
Yes.
I mean, Sean Creed is unbelievable too, but Keon, I selfishly told him the other day, he texted me, sent me updated pictures. I said, I selfishly can't wait for you to go into the Open to see how he fares, because I feel he's really come into his own. Like, he's very, very serious here.
Yes.
Like, very and confident.
He is very big.
So,
and he has like another 10 pounds he can go.
And he's still under the limit.
Yeah.
But like, you have Derek and you have Hadi, who's trained by arguably the best coach in the business, right? Yes. It's hard to imagine one of those guys will miss at the Olympia. So, like, is this a battle? Do you see a Samson coming in? Or do you see an Andrew Jack coming in? Do you see Hunter Labrada shocking everyone because he's looking really impressive now?
I'm a big fan of Hunter.
Do you see Nick Walker shaking that up?
I don't know if Nick Walker will. I mean, I think that I was really upset for him whenever he was like, he dipped out last year because of the injury. And I'm like, fuck.
He was he had a good shot there.
Yeah, he did. I think that
might have his window.
That was his window. But I mean, who's to know what could happen? Because I mean, I don't think that he was nearly at his best for the New York Pro. So I think that they're going to do the work there. But I honestly think that it could be just an outsider that just kind of just floats up. Kind of how like somebody could just come out of nowhere and just start creeping in.
Like Ronnie did.
Yes. Kind of like how you just popped out of nowhere and all of a sudden second place. Went from 8th to 2nd. Because back then it was like, 8th place. But now it's like all of a sudden like, holy fuck. So here I think that it could be like Samson being working over in the Middle East now. Like, he might just...
He's improved a lot.
He's improved a lot. Got bigger in the
since
back.
the Arnold shows.
His back looked like it's a lot better.
Well, that's where he's lacking. That's where Hottie and Derek just eat him alive. It's nothing else. Like, the sheer size of Samson's incredible. And I was saying, I think Derek is going to be the first multiple-time winning Mr. Olympia. Like, before he won, I was like, I think it's going to be him for a few years. And I was like, but if Samson comes into his own, I could see him just overpowering everything and being this mass monster on stage that still has some aesthetics. But then at the same time, it's like Andrew Jack. Is he actually going to be able to bring something that is going to wow everybody? Because you're not going to, if you don't have dug out hamstrings, you're not going to creep into that top 3 with those guys. You're not. At least I don't think so. Seeing him for the first time in Pittsburgh, yeah, dude's fucking wild looking. Yeah, absolutely incredible.
It's like a superhero.
Very much so. And again, that's part of what the industry needs is that spectacle. But then whenever you see Hottie and Derek that are just dug out, grainy, 235 to 250 pounds, you're like, holy fuck, guys.
Do you think you could have been like a contender for this?
No, I'm not. No, I don't know.
Why?
I listen. Looking back at it
who
now.
Who was winning with 202 then?
It was 202.
Was it Kevin English?
It was Kevin English, and then that's whenever Kevin English, David Henry, and
you got second to who at what event?
No, I won everything that I competed in up until 2012. I tried to jump to the open class at the Toronto, and then my home life wasn't doing so well, so I was just in my own head.
And what'd you finish there?
6th place.
And who won that?
Bill Wilmore.
Okay.
Bill Wilmore won, and I took 6th because everything. My tan wasn't right. I was backstage, put oil on that pushed off the tan. My body didn't respond well to it. I was like, holy shit, this is the room. I'm walking out on stage naked. And then everybody was like, you should have just dropped down to the 212s. You should go do it. And at that time, like, I thought the Toronto was bad because I wasn't in the right frame of mind at home. And I was just like, fuck you, honey. I was like, this is your fault. You didn't prep me right for this. It was all my fault.
Yeah.
And I started blaming him. And then Bleckman the next day, he's like, you should go to the 212, go to the 212, go to the 212. And I was just hearing all this stuff. And then I went to the 212, took time off, and took like 6 weeks and did the Sarasota show. And then my body fell apart at that show. So I didn't use honey. I overdieted, did too many drugs, overtrained, and my body shit the bed at the show. Smoothed over the whole thing. And I was just like, that's it. I'm out. Home life went to wreck. Literally the next day, Bleckman sent me a certified mail saying I'm cut, so $50,000 just disappeared. I was like, yeah, I should stop this shit. And literally after Sarasota, in August of 2012, I disappeared. Just said, threw my arms up, said, fuck it. And Muscle Tech at the time was like, hey, dude, pump the brakes. You're freaking out for no reason. We want to keep you on the team. I'm like, nope, I don't want your money. And they're like, Seth, we're going to continue to pay you. You need to take a month. Call us back in a month. I called him back in a month. I said, I don't want your money. I'm done. Seth, calm down. You're freaking out. They were super generous with everything.
They were always great to me also, yeah.
Dude, they were awesome. And but I just wasn't in a good frame. I was in a good headspace. And if that would have been today's social media, oh, my God, people would eat me alive. Every young kid goes through this part where you just kind of lose your mind. What this industry can do to you, chewing you up, the drugs, the home life, and just, I don't know.
Is it the dark side of bodybuilding?
I think so.
Like, don't you think today's, like, what disappoints me is, like, people want to talk about the substance more than what the hard work and the training, what we fell in love with, right?
Yeah.
Because when I started as a teenager, man, Chris put me on that diet, and I watched my body transform on a clean diet, right? 6 meals a day and the consistent training 5 days a week, 2 days off, maybe not consistently the 2 days off, but like I fell in love with that lifestyle, and to the point where this is how I do it still today. But I feel like today the biggest questions arise is, what did you take? How did you do this? I mean,
I agree, because you just said it right there. You're like, I still do the same shit. Everybody has this thing about trying to be perfect.
Yeah.
everybody's like looking for the perfect diet, the perfect training, the perfect this, the perfect that. And I'm like, hey, you know that if you just eat these simple foods, do this simple shit consistently, and build off of that. Like, all I do right now, I just eat super clean. They're like, how do you stay so lean, Seth? Like, what are you taking? And I'm like, no. I eat meat, fruits, and veggies. Like, I'm a 50% vegan. Like, that's my joke. I'm like, no, that's what the fuck I eat. And then I have carbohydrates around my training. And then if it's a big day of training, I eat more carbohydrates. It's simple. I'll throw some more fats in. I'll throw some more oil in. I'll throw some avocado in.
So it really depends on your output. No, you're probably not training as much while you're in Vegas.
No,
right?
super simple shit. This is every day. Just keep it super fucking simple.
Do you do fasting?
Yeah. I do fast. I do. If I eat.
How long?
Not long. It's not actually fasting. It's not.
Like, what time you eat your first meal and when you wake up?
Depends. I might eat. I'll do cardio or do an outside workout, and then I might eat something at 10, 11, 12 sometimes. Depends on how I feel.
Are you back to eat like limited meals again?
Mm-hmm.
You're not back to 6 meals.
I don't. Right now, like I just wanted to give my body the break and see how I would feel from it. I feel great. I'm like, yep, here it is. I figured my body out pretty well. I do not eat foods that disagree with me. Like, just because I like fucking ice cream doesn't mean I'm going to eat ice cream. Like, I just won't eat it because if it fucks with my gut, it's going to ruin my day. So why do I eat it? I don't. Like, I like peanut butter and jellies, so I eat a peanut butter and jelly rice cake every night. That's my sweet treat. That's it. I eat all my food, and I just do my thing. And I'm like, I take my growth hormone, and I take my testosterone, and that's where I live. Everybody takes that shit. And they all don't look like me, and I don't look like you. It's like you have to figure out what works for you. Like, that was the thing. Whenever I realized, I was like, I'm not Jay Cutler, but we have some similar attributes. But Jay Cutler's Jay Cutler. Seth Feroce needs to be Seth Feroce.
Yeah.
You need to be you. In bodybuilding, like, you have to understand that, like, not everybody's the same, because if it was the same, everybody would look the same. You have to figure out what works for you. Such a simple concept, but today everybody's like, oh, I need to take this because this is what they took. No. It doesn't work that way. You have to find out what works for you. It's simple, but I don't know. Everybody's the thing is, too, like, people today are super young. They haven't figured it out. It takes time to figure it out. As these young kids get older, like 5 years from now, they'll be like, man, I was kind of a fucking idiot. Like,
Yeah,
I'm saying now, you know?
Yeah, the last question I want to ask, because I know you have a couple questions.
No, go ahead. No,
I just want to ask one. So they talk about diminishing the 212 division.
Yeah.
I want to know your take on it, since you're a guy that basically probably would have landed in that division comfortably.
Absolutely.
You had success in the lower division weights.
It sucks to see that it's not.
I mean, the Arnold kicked it out.
Yeah.
And there are a few shows, though.
There's some. Yeah.
But no, there's not standalone 212 shows, right? I mean, you're seeing more standalone classic physique, men's physique. But do you think 212, like, especially when you have, like, the Hotties and the William Bonnicks and the, Lunsford, like, all these guys that have come up now and
Clarita won an open show.
Yeah, Clarita, yes.
They're all top open guys now. They're all top 10 Olympia guys.
Lee Priest is first to say, like,
Fuck
I
it,
wouldn't
get
have
rid of
done
it.
it,
I think that it's done. It was done out of the thought of, hey, this could be a good thing for our industry, and I think it might make us some money. Seems like a good idea. Let's give it a whirl. And it did work to a certain extent, because it was great stepping stones for the guys that moved up into there. But if everybody continues to step outside of it and grow out of it, and then we have less and less shows of it, is it worth having? And
I'm just not sure
don't
the
know.
show. If you say, I'm going to promote,
a 212 show, are people showing up?
that's what I was just going to say.
No, not.
Because the stars have left.
Unless, and Keon does one fucking show a year.
Yeah,
One
which
show a year.
you would too, right?
Yeah,
we all would.
That's what I mean. Like, so you're not putting asses in the seats. It's not like it's a whole thing, and that's what's like, fuck. Like, what do we do? How do we get it? So, I mean, I don't know. The 212 is the dying division of the bodybuilding scene, of, like, from classic or even physique and open. 212 is.
I mean, we saw women's bodybuilding move on, and then it's come back a little bit, only because the owner of the Olympia has a passion for it, right?
Yeah.
But realistically, is that, it's not really filling the seats either, right?
No, I mean, and 212. I mean, all the guys show up and they're in good shape. They're just not big names, dude. They are nasty competitors. They're nasty, but it's just not I don't know. It's not as
It's not as like an appealing division for people to come and witness the freaks. We even know they are freaks.
You want to see the freaks and then classic.
I know, but I want to ask someone that probably
it is upsetting.
A little more.
It is upsetting. Yeah, it sucks because I see them and these guys are great bodybuilders and are good dudes and it gives them a platform. But it sucks because it costs so much money to put it on a show. The sanction fees for it, put up the prize money for it.
People don't realize that.
No, they don't. They have the sanction fees alone to put on a show. It's tens of thousands of dollars. Yep. It sucks. And then on top of that, you also have to pay the prize money,
the judges
and everything it takes to put on a show.
$50K.
Yes.
Pacific West Injury Law. Injured? Call 602-HURT. Car accident? Call 602-HURT. Our firm is dedicated to you and your recovery.
Standalone. Minimum.
Yeah, and then it's like, so then like, oh, we should, and how do you do that? How do you do, not every promoter can sustain that. They can't afford that.
If you can't fill the seats, bro.
If you can't fill the seats, and then it's like, well, we want to do pay-per-views, and we want to do pay-per-view buys, and it's like, well, dude, nobody's actually going to do it because there's enough people there just taking pictures, posting their Instagrams, and moving it on. And you can't stop that either. So it's tough because more people, like the Pittsburgh show, people were super pumped for Classic. Classic at the Pittsburgh was awesome to watch. And they didn't have a 212 show, and that's something that it's like, cool, like, is it going to come to the Pittsburgh? Is it going to come? And you're always waiting to see where it is, and there's just less and less shows. It sucks, but the reality is, from a business perspective, you're watching it. You're watching it kind of drift away.
But so one question I had, YouTube, you have made some epic rants in your truck.
Yeah.
But you've also went out and openly talked about the drugs you took, literally like a professor with the chalkboard.
Yeah, it was just
what gave you the confidence? Because that was always a no-no. What made you say, I don't care.
I'm shocked you remember. I'm shocked you remember, like
what I took.
If you asked me right now what I took,
those are some of the questions I have here shortly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I could tell you like at certain points, but like
there's certain points.
I know what my first cycle was and like a couple of my protocols for the shows, but like, you know, remember I used Parabolin and it didn't exist. It doesn't exist now, right?
That's what I tell people. I'm like, I was on the back end of where you were, like, where your generation was like the upper echelon of everything was so fucking great. And that's whatever I was like, because whenever Parabolin, I was like, nobody knows about Parabolin.
Yeah.
They see it on a cycle and they're like,
saw.
Yeah, they're like, you only took 75 milligrams, and it's like, no, it was a different 75 milligrams of Parabolin.
The max anyone ever took was like 2 a week, right?
Yeah, 150.
150. Yeah, those guys do that every day.
That's what I mean, and I'm like, it's not the same, no. But it's like you can't do this because back then it was a different quality, and that was Parabolin, and then after that was Finaplex.
Yeah,
because that was whenever it started getting pretty skinny. Yeah, all the wild stuff
and shit. Yeah.
Yep. I had the stories about that. DMSO all over the legs and all that wild shit.
All right, so talk about the epic rant.
Yeah, so like the rants. Like what gave you the confidence to go, I know I'm not supposed to do this, but I'm going to do it?
It was the fact that I started gaining a little bit of popularity. And people were asking me so much about it. And I was like, hey, why did everybody lie about it? And I was like, everybody lied about it because it's a taboo thing. But there are people that do some dumb shit out there. I was one of the first on YouTube to talk. I was not the first, but I was like one of the first big notable IFBB pros that had a YouTube channel and a platform to be like, hey, let's be open and honest. That's where the steroids, drugs, and life thing came from. Because Bob was like, I was like, what should we talk about? I'm not good with scripts. And he's like, Seth, I'm going to put the camera on, and you just go off on a rant. He's like,
pull the cord,
blackout. And I was like, all right. So I did this whole thing.
He wound you up and left.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, dude. That's what it was. And he just fired me up. And then
so what was it called?
It was called Steroids, Drugs, and Life. That's what we
did. He was like a teacher. He had a fucking chalkboard.
Really?
He did. He wrote it out and everything.
The first one I went off the handlebars. I was like, hey,
how many views did it get?
I think that was the first video I got where it was like over 250,000 views.
Oh. And I imagine it's a lot more now.
No, I mean it the ups and downs of YouTube with that video. It's up there. But it was the first one that caught big traction. Yeah. And it was because I was just super open about it. I was like, can we just be open about it that it actually exists? But the thing is, like, I'm not a piece of shit because I took them. Okay, I'm not a bad person because I took them. It's what our industry is. Like, let's stop pretending that it's not real. We all in the industry are fucked up to some extent. You have to understand that we all have this screw loose that we've been trying to figure out who we are as individuals and what makes us feel alive. We found bodybuilding. We love it. We're not these insanely vain, ignorant, look how great I look, fuck you, you fat piece of shit. No, it's good for us. There's something in our heads that
like I said, you have to be really effed up to do what we do.
You have to be.
There has to be something wrong with you to wake up every day and push ourselves in the gym and do... You know what I mean?
You have and that's the thing that we struggle to figure out as we go forward, and then all of a sudden we find out that we just love it so much that we become obsessed with it. And what it does for us is that even though we are screwed up, it puts us at ease. We feel value. We feel there's something that it does, and then it has created this whole industry where people are like look at you were my bodybuilding idol. Like I looked up to you so much where I was like, I believe that because of watching you, I'm capable of doing this. And now here I am, and I've had an influence on people. So it's like, even though like people can say and criticize, I was tired of people criticizing. I'm like, let's just be open. I'm not a bad person. We're not bad people. We influence, and sure, but we have our own demons that we deal with.
Everyone has their own.
Yeah, but everybody likes to pretend that they're perfect.
Of course.
And they don't have any guilty pleasures.
That's social media
or any taboo things that make them feel weird, but they're that insecurity, because what I realized was whenever you put your head down at night, you got to go to bed and feel comfortable with who you are, because you have your own insecurities. And I was like, I'm just going to be open because we need it. And I thought it was a good idea, and now today everybody's so open about it that it scares me a little bit.
It's too much.
It's a little much. Now I'm like, hey, you can't just go on TikTok injecting yourselves, guys. Can we stop that? This is a really bad idea. You're 17. No. It's a personal decision. This is a personal decision, but the decision has to understand that this can and will fuck you up if you don't take care of yourself and pay attention to it. Like if there's a giant red flag that goes up, please understand that red flag's going up for a reason, and get yourself taken care of. Pay attention to that. But today's pretty wild.
So do you feel like that educated people some?
In the beginning, because a lot of people still hit me up that watch those videos, and they're like, hey, dude, like you really opened my eyes because I made that steroids will kill you video. And that's the thing where people were coming at me.
That was a good one, though. It was good.
But people like look at the title and only watch like the first minute or so of it, then they criticize. And I'm like, no. That video was to let you know that it's a personal decision and they can hurt you. Like you can't just eat 3 Anadrol a day and think nothing bad's going to happen to you.
I had 4.
Did you? This is great.
Nasha had 10.
You didn't.
No,
Nasser had 10.
Oh, Nasser had 10.
That's a meal shed.
Get out of here. First, I did 3 for like a couple of days, and I was like, hey, this isn't good. And it's, there's one thing, all right, so those videos, I did them because it was like I wanted people to get, the people that are unsure about it, they're like, hey, I should take some shit. And I'm like, you think you really should? You think you think that's a good idea?
There's
Guess
no turning
what?
back.
It's a really bad idea. There's no turning back. Whenever you do it, it's going to change. It's going to change the chemistry of your body. And here's the thing: you're going to like it. Yes. If you love the gym and you like feeling like Superman in the gym, the pump, everything, you're going to like it. But guess what? Just because you like it doesn't mean it's a good thing. Because there's also things that it does to your brain where it makes you think you're more than you actually are, and then you're going to be like, oh, well, I'm going to come off of it now. When you come off of it, there's things you have to do to make sure that you're okay. Everybody just likes the positives. It's like
there's one major side effect. They work.
And you're going to like them. They're awesome. It's like, Seth, why do you have the health problems you did? Well, it's because I love testosterone, Deca, and Anadrol. Well, that explains probably high blood pressure.
Yeah, it goes along with it.
That happens.
I just,
a little high hematocrit.
I believed in coming on and off, and I know a lot of people now, it's like, we talk about, you just said, hey, I take up 200 mgs of test a week, right? TRT, whatever. There was no such term.
No.
In our 2009, 10.
No,
So it was like cycle on, cycle off. And that cycle off was off. Like
nothing.
No bridging or cruising or I don't even know. I mean, you mentioned the bro science thing.
Yeah.
I had no idea in 2010 what bro science was. You've picked up that term somewhere along because you didn't in 2009 know what it was.
No,
either.
the whole bro
split.
Yeah, bro split. Yeah.
So
it's. I mean, the industry. It just. I don't know. It just continues to grow. New terms, new people, new things, and like the whole TRT thing now is like a nice way of saying you're cruising. But like, I was like, hey, TRT. You can't just say a TRT dose because it's different for everyone.
Everybody's What is the definition of, like, what a TRT? Like you just said, I'm 200. Is it? Well, I'm on 500, and I'm on this, and I'm at like
it's like if you're going to say TRT, are you going to the doctors? Are you getting your blood work done? Getting it monitored?
What is your levels?
Yes, where you should be. Are you just taking it once a week? Because we realize that you should probably take it like every 3 to 4 days. That's better for you. Your blood levels. You're more even. You think so? And I'm like, you don't. You're just saying TRT to feel important and don't look like a degenerate.
Yeah.
It's okay to be a degenerate. It's okay. It's perfectly fine. It's okay. But it's that thing because nobody. I don't know.
People think I'm crazy though. People like, oh, Jay's that's bad. That's worse for your body to come off of it. Maybe it is, but listen, my blood tests were okay.
Yeah.
And listen, I had low testosterone for sure. But you know what? I was a driven, determined individual because number one, had a lot of, like, I was chasing Ronnie Coleman, so even when I was second to him, I was second in the world. Then you win the Mr. Olympia, and then you can walk around in a tank top, and it doesn't matter you're on, off, sideways, or backwards. You're fucking Mr. Olympia,
yes.
right? So people can't, when you walk in the door, you don't have to worry about looking big because, dude, I have a Sandow sitting on my mantle at home.
And it's
somewhere here. It's somewhere. It's missing from the... this picture
missing from your office.
But I think, and then social media changed a lot. Social media has such an impact on everything. Like even like, every day, like we live in a social media era, and there's a lot of people that didn't have those successes, and they're like, well, I got to stay on. I got to look a certain way. I have to be a certain way.
But there are social media requires, right?
Yeah, and they know that literally that look and those clicks and those likes correlates to money. And for them, if that's it, then it's like, I'm in. And that's when it's like, hey, I understand. There might be bad things are going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not always going to be good. For every action, there's a reaction. But, yeah. I have a question, though. So there's a story. You guys might have mentioned it, talked about it before. There was an Arnold Classic prep where I heard that you drank a ridiculous amount of Diet Mountain Dew.
I've brought that up.
The first one.
Is this true?
I drank a case a day.
A case a day.
My God, it is true.
Yeah. It's true.
Nice. Case a day.
You know how I knew you did that? Because you weren't talking about it. So we were talking on the phone back then, and somehow, some way, I'm like, I'm drinking.
It's diet.
Yeah, Diet Mountain.
I was like, I'm drinking like 6 diet sodas a day. It's kind of like water. And he's like, I'm drinking a case a day. I'm like, what the fuck? A case? Yeah, Diet Mountain Dew. It's just like water and caffeine.
Yeah, it's Diet Mountain Dew.
I wonder how much caffeine, because this is
way too much.
This is before pre-workouts. I was 300 too.
Yeah,
I mean, one of these somewhere here.
Wasn't that the year that you, if I remember right, you said you took no?
It was on. There was a picture here. I'm here. You can't really see, but this is actually taken out to the show. That was my first victory. I was 273 on stage. Yeah, man. I mean, I think I was on high carbs every day. I think I dieted on 1,000 grams of carbs a day. Shit, yeah. And I did saunas twice a day. I did no cardio. None.
Really?
Yeah, so I came off 01 Olympia with the controversy.
Yeah.
I was so shredded. I stopped cardio 10 weeks before that show and literally just ate high carbs because I dieted so hard. From 20 weeks down to 10, I was doing cardio twice a day, and I got super shredded by the time I got to 10 weeks. Chris Aceto's like, dude, you're not going to make it. You're going to be way too – you're going to start burning up muscle. So just let's feed you. Let's just see what it does for a few weeks. And that few weeks turned into the 2 months. And basically I went into the show. I was 290 3 days out, and I ripped down to like 262 or 3 or something within 3 days. Yeah. And then, I rolled right into the Arnold. Like, they called me. I remember Jim Lorimer called me. I was at the zoo with my mom in San Diego at a gas station. I literally was putting the spout. We talked about this in the podcast, too. I was literally putting the spout into my Land Cruiser at the time. And my mom says, oh, Jim Lorimer's calling your phone. So I'm like, hey, hello, Jim Lorimer, you know, and he's like, hey, I want to invite you to the Arnold Classic 2002. We have an invitation for you. And I was like, oh, my God, this is Arnold's partner calling me to invite me. I'm one of 12 guys that's going to come to the show. So she's like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I'm going to go. So I literally called Chris Aceto and like, Jim Lorimer just called me. You think I can diet and get ready for the show? He said, absolutely. I said, okay, well, I'm getting on a diet tonight. And like, we started the prep and like basically no cardio and high carbs and diet Mountain Dew and saunas twice a day.
You know what's going to happen now? Some asshole kid's going to start drinking 2 cases of Diet Dew a day.
No, I don't recommend it.
Your heart will explode.
Listen, I was 27 years old.
Yeah,
right?
you were young.
So we didn't have pre-workouts. None of that existed.
No. I mean, I think Ultimate Orange might have been the only thing.
No, you know what? You know what was relevant though was caffeine and ephedrine.
Yep. ECA stacks.
Yes, and that you'd buy like the dimetadrine and then you'd mix it with aspirin and but it would burn a hole in your stomach if you weren't careful.
You were also shredded from it.
And it actually worked, but that would be the last few weeks to really get the stubborn fat off.
Do you think do you think that was more effective than clenbuterol?
I took both, so it's hard to say. It's like saying, what worked best for you? Well, I don't know, the 10 things I took. I mean, right?
Yeah, that's where it gets tough. You're like, what made you harder? And you're like,
we laugh, but I mean, if I'm drinking a case of Diet Mountain Dew a day,
I think it's like 40 milligrams of caffeine in each can. I think.
I thought it's 6.
Or maybe it's more.
I don't know.
I think it's more. It's the highest diet soda.
That's what I was going to say. I think it might be more. It might be 60.
So you might have been pounding 1,500 milligrams of caffeine.
But the ECA stacks I thought were super effective because I'm like, I think that they
worked.
Clenbuterol threw me off.
I mean, it made you feel terrible, right?
Horrible.
But you cycled. I don't know how it was cycled. I know I did 2 days on, 2 days off. That's how I cycled. But I didn't take a lot. Like I took a little bit. It was like micrograms, right?
Yeah, but it's also like that's that thing where I'm like, hey, take as little as you can, get as much from it as possible. But yeah.
But you know, there was always protocols for shows that, you know, and it's kind of weird because I really don't like looking back now. And if you said to me, is there something you have to take? Like, guys, I'm just going to throw it out there because that's all they talk about is tren.
Yeah.
Like, never used a thing called tren because it didn't exist, right? People say, well, you took Parabolin. It's the same thing.
It's kind of, but it's not. Parabolin was made for humans. Tren's made for cattle.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's made for cattle. It is.
Is it made from Finaplex tabs?
Yeah. Is it still Finaplex?
Yeah. It comes the compound. But it's made for cattle.
I haven't made anything in years, decades.
I just remember what it came from.
Because I bought the pellets before. I said I owned a farm and
essentially you make that and you cook it.
Is that what still the powder is today? I don't even know what the powder is.
I would assume it is. I don't know if it's different. But
yeah, see,
it's not the same as Parabolin.
No, because I don't know what.
I just heard
I go to a doctor and I have a prescription and that's what it is, right? So, so it's hard to say when you start asking, well, what worked better? Everyone's chemistry is different, right? So if you said, well, off season, you know, it was like an echo poison test, like good for me, right?
Yeah.
And then when I got cut for a show, I mean, I just know that, you know, a hard diet, eating white fish was absolutely necessary for me to get the best condition.
I think so too, but people today are like, oh, you don't need to do that. And I'm like,
Ronnie Coleman never did.
That's what I mean. But
Phil Heath did.
Phil Heath did, but I don't like using Ronnie. Fuck him.
Yeah, I mean,
fuck him.
He has cornbread and ketchup and
he's eating
French fries.
3 weeks out eating barbecue sauce. I'm like, I never did any of that.
I didn't use condiments. You know, I didn't use.
No, you weren't. So like that. That's the thing. Like you were. Whenever you say you just hopped on the diet, like was it? You'd never even had a question about anything.
But I never had a cheat day. Never steered away from. There was never like, oh, can I have this cookie or can I have this cheat day? There was no. For 16 weeks, it was 6 meals a day. Egg whites, oatmeal for breakfast. Last meal was always egg whites, chicken and rice, or even red meat would be out for a good portion of it.
I remember you cutting things up in your videos with the scissors, cutting all your food up.
Yeah,
I remember.
Still
do that. Yeah, still do it. I remember the one video I watched of you was the DVD. You were in your house showing your entertainment system. You turned it on and porn showed up.
Because
on
Phil
TV.
Heath left it on at my house. You were there, right?
There was other ones before that where you were talking about, I'll eat a payday if I want like something.
Yeah, but I loved paydays. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, but it was like
I loved paydays and Boston baked beans.
And you always drank a Coke.
Well, after training.
Yep. Yeah,
after training, you'd have a little Coca-Cola, or
the Coca-Cola Classic.
I remember I'd walk out of the Crunch gym in Mission Viejo when I was getting ready for the Olympia and my first Arnold victory. And I remember I would walk out with a can because I'd bring it in my little gym bag, and I'd walk out with that red can, and people would be looking at me like, "Dude, don't you have a show like in 2 weeks?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Yeah. And I was, I was shredded because I just got out of the sauna. So I was, the sauna, you close after you get out of the sauna, bro, and you're like
everything out of you.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. My body fat's low,
And so you didn't do any cardio. You were, and I remember
Chris wasn't a huge believer in cardio, but I love cardio. I don't know how you feel about it now, but like I only do 20 minutes in the morning now because I will overdo it.
Yep.
So I only allow myself 20 minutes in the morning, and I'll do 20 minutes because I'll train later tonight, and I'll do 20 minutes tonight. Every day, 7 days a week, I do 20 and 20. And I weight train 7 days a week.
And it's like, why does Jay look like he does? Well, whenever people see you're still shredded, still have abs and all this shit, and it's like, well, no, I just do continue my cardio, and I eat what I eat, and that's
I do eat on a pretty solid diet, though. Anywhere we travel, you can ask. We go to a restaurant, and I
chicken and rice.
But
you know what the problem is? The kids nowadays will go, he looks like that because I heard he's doing this and this and this. It's like, dude, drugs are not.
This is the thing. I thought so. When I was young, I had that same dumb fucking shit in my head. Yeah. Here's the thing. Whenever you're consistent like that for decades, these kids have not even been training. We've been training longer than these kids have been alive. I've been training since I was 13 years old. That's going to be fucking 27 years. 27 years? Are you shitting me? That's almost 3 decades of training. That's insane. You train for 3 decades, your calves are always going to be shredded.
Yes.
Not just like work out, though. Train. Do cardio. I've been doing cardio every day for fucking years now. I picked it up from him, doing shit like that every minute. I do 20 minutes. Every morning, I do 30 to 40 minutes, fucking 6 days a week. I have to. It's good for my head. I like
and
the
you
sweat.
think about a lot of things while you're doing it,
get myself straight. And it's a routine, like your routine that you have. Like your routine is like I wake up, I do whatever I do, and I do my cardio. I do this, I do that, I do that. That is literally why you are where you are. It's why I am where I am. It's my routine. Like everybody that posts on their TikTok, their $1 million millionaire entrepreneur routine, I'm like, it's nice, but that's your routine. Like if I do your routine, me personally, I don't have 20 minutes of book reflection. My kids are gonna be awake up my ass, and my son's gonna be like, Dad. I'll wake up, do my cardio. My morning has to be intense. Like that's what I like.
You know what? I just thought of a new commercial for you. Yeah. I want to see book reflection in a new video.
I'm not hating on book reflection.
No, but you need to do it because we just talked about it.
He just brought up a good point. So your favorite funny commercial you've done for the brand. What is your favorite? So let's name a couple. So we got the wood chopping thing, right? Yeah. And we got the lemonade
there was something
stand.
about big balls.
Yeah.
In one of them.
Dude, we've done a lot of. Again, it's just I loved Saturday Night Live. Like I loved Saturday Night Live. Eddie Murphy, Dennis Leary, Chris Farley, like all that growing up. Like my parents loved comedy and raunchy, screwed up stuff like Robin Williams. I loved Saturday Night Live. Looked forward to it. And that was whenever Saturday Night Live was like not woke at all and just didn't care about anything.
No.
And
it was like a roast.
I grew up watching that. So whenever we had these ideas, like we'd be like doing a photo shoot or a video trying to be serious, and then I'd just start fucking off. Well, they had the camera on, and then we were like,
so they started showing the bloopers, right?
Yeah, and that's how it all caught. And then we just started saying, let's make funny videos. Let's just start making those as our commercials. Because every now and then when you're just like a meathead, you're like,
I just did it yesterday. I'm like, Angie, I need to film this. And I'm like, fuck, I don't even know what I'm filming, you know?
But yeah, you've done the good ones too with the dogs.
Yes, but I'm like the same thing. Like, I know exactly like what I'm going to say. And I pick the product up and I'm like, fuck.
But again, that's what makes it fun because people look to us for entertainment. You know what I mean? They look for us for entertainment, fun, motivation, all that stuff. And
you filmed me a couple times.
You know what's funny? We filmed one in the back here one day. He's like, I need to film something. And I pull the camera out and I go, okay, go. And it does it, and I send it off. But the guy who does his ads didn't edit me saying I'll go. So all over Facebook, all you hear is go.
And it performed so
like
well, bro.
You hear my voice go.
See, that's the fucked up shit where you're like, they're like, oh, I can't believe we didn't cut it out. And you're like, maybe we should do that every time now. Maybe we should keep it going.
The engagement was crazy because I'm like, damn, he's like, this is like a legit. Like, he's in the back of his thing, like, just filming off his phone. Like,
and it was one take, and he sent it off. I thought for sure they were going to edit me out. I didn't even know my voice was in it.
No, and it works. It's like, I don't know. Again, that's the authenticity of what is great about just being yourself. Because you can, I don't know, it's fun. It's supposed to be this way.
We're going to get you to do some good shit now.
Oh, yeah. But no, again, that's that part where you get to wake up and just be you and do cool stuff.
It's like we talk about it every day. Like, I mean,
it's the coolest thing.
I told him, I said, I have to get Seth on the. That was like,
he was like, we
were sitting right there
immediately.
Yeah,
immediately.
Because I looked at, I was like, whenever I saw it, I was like, how the fuck is he coming? And then it was, I'm like, oh no, they're in Vegas.
Someone on your staff told me.
Yeah, that's what it is.
But it was.
Listen, if there was somebody on my staff that talked to you, I'd have found out about it because we were like, hey, Jay Cutler, hit me up.
No, but we wanted to get you on because there's certain people that are just transformational. You're just a figure that.
How often are you doing your podcast?
We were doing it a lot. We're moving to a new building and we have a whole entire new studio set up for our content team for new podcasts because. We had the idea.
Like it or?
Oh, I love it. I like it just because of this, too. You're just shooting the
shit. Yeah. Well, we started this podcast and you're like, all right, so what are we going to talk about? And I'm like, I have no idea.
We just go.
Again, it's the things that it's supposed to be because the real life comes out of people of, like, I used to grow up whenever I was doing work at my dad's shop. There was a morning radio called WDVE, and it was like the classic rock station of Pittsburgh. Well, it's just in the morning, like I'd be up at work for 6, and they start at 6, and then it'd go till 10. So for 4 hours, it was just Pittsburgh talk radio. They talk about the Steelers, they talk about the Pirates or the hockey or music, and they'd have guests on and all this. I'm like, this is awesome. And I listened to it. So I was like, I want to have a morning podcast where like once or twice a week we get on a podcast and just shoot the shit about what's going on in the world, this, that, passions that we have in life, bring people on. The podcast, we started it before COVID, and I had people lined up to come in because it's called the HWMF podcast. I wanted to bring on different figures when they came into Pittsburgh or fly them in that were hardworking motherfuckers. Like that had different things. It wasn't that they were just from the industry. They might have, I don't know, anything in life, but they were not known or they were known, but they were educated in their field. Like bring on a guy that does concrete work, phenomenal concrete work in Pittsburgh and talk about his business because people that are listening to podcasts do concrete. They might know a guy.
People listen to podcasts more than radio now.
More than anything. And I was like, I'd like to do that. So now that we're going into the new building, that's what we're starting to formulate. We're going to start bringing those things on. We're going to have a whole setup where we're going to bring people on that do concrete work, welders, or they might own their own, their own business doing this, or people from the industry that anything. That way, I
did concrete, my family business.
I know you were.
My brothers, Cutler Brothers Concrete. You were from 11 to 18,
and you guys had a farm growing up.
Yeah, my brother raises 60 cattle right now.
No shit.
Yeah,
still does it.
So he's a hard work and mother effer. Yeah. He literally, he does the concrete, gets up, he's running the farm, and
dude, that dude is hustling.
And you know what? I envy his lifestyle. He's 60. He's 64, and my oldest brother's 65. But they're still working, doing the concrete.
Wow, dude.
Yeah, they've been doing it since they started a company when they were early 20s. I was 11. I was 11 then.
Man, so they do raise cattle and do concrete.
But doing foundation work is really hard. Putting up foundation forms and pouring, it's just the hardest work you'll ever do. And that's
100%
where I got a lot of my work ethic from. So my brother was a carpenter by trade, though. That's what he did prior to concrete.
That's how he's forming everything up and figuring it all out. Yeah. I mean, it's hard whenever you have those types of things, like me having that blue-collar background. Like, there's so many times that you're in the wood shop and you're just, like, hating, like, dude, this sucks. Like, this sucks.
I know, but growing up, dude, I thought that was going to be my life. Like,
I did, too.
I was like, I made good money. I thought it was good money. And
It was good money.
You could make, $1,000 a week sometimes because of the hours you worked. And
I mean, dude, it was, I got mad at my dad when I was 17 years old. I thought I was going to take over the family business. Because I remember being in his office. He's like, so what are you going to do with your life? I'm like, I'm going to take over the family business. And he's like, no, you're not. You're going to go to school. And I was like, then what am I doing here? Why am I working so hard for you?
so did you go to school?
Yeah, went to school for safety sciences, OSHA,
Okay, that's
EPA,
that's
DOT
what you did.
regulations.
That's what you're
Yeah.
talking about, the job?
Yeah, that's what I did for work, yeah. But I grew up doing every ignorant job you could imagine from like 11 years old till I was 22.
What's the most iconic gym in Pittsburgh that you did? We used to train at a few gyms.
Yeah,
when I would travel
the
out
exercise
there.
warehouse.
Yeah.
That's the old
Did you
school
ever
one.
train there?
Yeah, trained there a few times, but I went to Webb's. Webb's was where York's gym is where I started lifting weights.
That's a pretty famous gym, isn't it?
Webb's is that's where a lot of the bodybuilders came out of. Like that's where Monty Webb's the owner. He passed it down to his son. He's still there every day. Monty Webb competed with like Porter Cottrell, all those guys back in the day.
Yeah.
He was phenomenal, but it was like one pro card a year.
Yeah, of course.
He, in my opinion, he should have turned pro. If it was today's day and age and his physique was there, he'd be a pro. And then. That's also Bill Wilmore was from
of course,
that area. Edgar Fletcher,
He was phenomenal, that guy.
he was from that area. And then there's a couple other guys recently. Doug Connors, he's one of our athletes. He's from that area. Christy Domenico, he's from that area. They're all recent pros, but it was the bodybuilder gym in Pittsburgh. So, but. Yeah, that was the only really place I trained was Webb's. It was the bodybuilder gym.
Did you ever get to go overseas and train at like the Oxygens or?
Nope.
Is that a bucket list for you
Yes.
to be able to see these places?
Oh, now absolutely it is because they're iconic, and I mean,
like when you walk in a gym, are you like a kid in a candy store?
Still, that's
you
why
just asked about the new
tech, all that stuff, and Pendulum, all this. It's like, dude,
We're going to Dubai for new tech next month.
are you? That's what I mean. Like you see it all. I mean, you can't not get excited because I didn't like dieting. I never liked dieting. I love training.
I know, but you say you eat on a good diet, so
Yeah.
that's a hard part for me to imagine. Is like, what was it? Too much food, or the consistency of having to eat on the clock like that?
I have a problem with authority. If you tell me you can't do something, I'm going to be like, I want to do it now.
So you'll fight it. You'll be resistant.
Yeah, that's that part where I'm like, what? But like, why am I lean now? Like, I'm like I won't eat it. But the second that you tell me I can't have it, I'm like, I'd really like to have it. I'm like, dude, what's going on in your head? But I love training. Like, whenever I see a new piece of equipment, like everybody's talking about new tech, and I'm like, nobody has new tech around me. I was like, I want to find it, and I'm like, because Guy built his gym. He said it, dude. He's like, dude, you got to come out. You got to come out. And he's about, I think his gym's like 3.5, 4 hours away from me.
Too far, yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. But I went to, and now I'm like, but still, like Oxygen. I was talking to Samson, and we ate dinner with Samson and Andrew at the Pittsburgh, and they were like, dude, you got to come over. Samson's like, it is unbelievable.
We went over and trained.
Yeah, all the Oxygen gyms. There's an Olympia gym there. There's the FX. What was it? No, SF. That's the guy.
So I got a question then. They said, they were like, Seth, dude, it's so cool. They're like, the people are so welcoming. You're a meathead. You're a bodybuilder. They are going to treat you like gold, and you are going to love it.
100%.
Yeah, I wish I would have been able to train there when I was, in it.
Really?
Because when we went, I was, I'm still. I was
first
still
time
training,
the first
2016.
16 we went and saw the new. It was before the new 5-story one opened.
Yeah, Botter took us to walk
Before it
some
was
of the
open.
new facilities. But once again, I saw equipment I never seen before because none of the names are on the equipment there.
Oh, really?
So it was like,
off, yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of weird to see
Like
a
Rocky
lot of
Rides.
the equipment and like, wow, I've never seen this fly machine before. And there were a lot of different pieces. And the crazy thing is like when I went and trained, like, no, don't worry, don't take your weights off. There were two guys like
weight
standing
boys.
there waiting to like, okay, put on a 45. And
How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I feel like a pussy.
I do feel. That's how I feel.
Like
I'm like I like.
I don't like anyone putting my weights on.
I really don't. I'm
because
weird-
that's my
I'm weird about
time
it.
table of rest. So if I'm doing a set, I'm not a training partner guy. So for me, it's like put the weights, change the weights. By the time I do the circle around the machine and I fucking lock in, that's my 45, 60 seconds, and boom, we go.
If somebody's not training, if I have a partner, like I can get into a rhythm of understanding my rest and that.
Yes.
But if I'm not, like it's my thing, I don't want anybody touching my shit.
Yeah.
Do you think that the technology of all this equipment getting better, do you think that you would have looked better having it versus what you did have?
I'm too hard-headed. I would have stayed with the free weights.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I still argue this all the time with Milos, and like we talk about it. I still think foundation is built off free weights. I don't care what anyone says. You still have to stick to the meat and potato exercise to be as dense as we were. Because density is what – there's a certain density you can see that is built off like heavy, hard training. That's why I'm like, you don't have to bench press 400 pounds. But if you can bench press 500 – you probably need to do 400 for reps.
Yes.
Because I did everything 8 to 12 reps, right? So I never really touched the weight that I did 4s and 5s.
Yeah.
I wasn't Ronnie squatting 800 pounds. I don't think that it was as beneficial to me because the risk versus reward is swings too high.
But you're also like, if you can do front squats with 365, you should be doing front squats with 365.
Yeah.
Yes. I have that, and I believe that.
Right now, you might think, hey, I want to work with more machines because you're 40 and I'm not trying to break records.
No, But I mean, but I was curious of your take because I kind of have the same. I agree with you. I still think that there's.
Bro.
Yes. Yeah, because you still.
And I'm the same way. Like I don't like some of these new theories of like, I'm like, no, I want to stay with what made me. It'd be hard to tell someone that like I only went before 4 times and I trained with arguably one of the 2 best coaches, right?
Yeah.
And listen, Hani knew his shit about training, but Chris Aceto did too. I mean,
and that, but they're all, but again, like you said, they're 2 of the best to ever do it. You know what I mean? And you are a legend of the sport. Like you have some of the most iconic poses in the sport. So it's like, okay, if those still hold the weight that they do today, then how could you say you could have been better if you would have did that? Like, I don't know. It's kind of hard. But there are some guys that are creating iconic shots of today, but they aren't in the same category. You know what I mean? But then Hottie, look at Hottie. Hottie trains hard as fuck. That guy I heard is a psychopath.
But I was just going to say, look at him. Yeah. He looks like a guy from their era.
Yeah, that is true.
And you see him doing the bench press with 5 plates and free weight, not on the machine.
And the thing is, you look at Derek, and Derek hasn't. I don't even think Derek's met his full potential yet. I still think he has a lot more to be able to.
He does, but can you imagine Schwarzenegger and Franco Columbu, the physiques that they built, Sergio Oliva, Senior, on free weights, bro? Think about that. In nutrition, that's ass backwards.
Yeah, ass backwards. I didn't know what.
Look at Arnold's pecs and Franco's pecs. You tell me a bench press doesn't work?
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you, we see Samson has those kind of pecs these days, but not a lot of guys.
A couple.
Yeah.
Andrew's kind of getting it. Andrew's got it.
I'm trying to think of. No, I agree.
And I don't think Andrew's an enhanced athlete to the extreme, like you would look at him in today's society would look at him that is in our field and be like, that guy's on this. I think you'd be surprised at how little it is.
I think that, again, also what people have to understand, too, is as you continue to get older and you've been doing it for years and taking higher doses, growing and adding all that tissue, after you get to a certain point, you don't have to take the same amount that you used to.
Yeah.
You just don't.
And you don't have to train as crazy heavy either. You're
honing it in. Yeah, I mean, but it took a lot of hard, ignorant work to get there that was hairy and ugly and learning and scary. But then after you get there, you're like, oh, no, now we're going to create this. Like adding new tissue takes time. And everybody knows that if you add it super quick, then you better be ready. You better make sure you were in check with it all, checking on your blood work and looking at that. But but once you get there, you don't have to. It's a different maintain, and you just hone in on it. But like Hunter right now is big. And I mean, I think that it's because he knows that it's a make or break thing for him. I think because he knows that he's in that top 6 spot where in order for him to creep up into that 3, into that category with those guys, it's going to take some ignorant shit, like a lot of work to just be out of his mind, peeled and dug out. I like Hunter a lot. I think he has it. I just want to see if he can put it together for the showdown.
And we've been talking. He's our guy this year. I think.
Oh, really?
That's gonna.
I think him and Andrew are going to be the two that are could shock up that top 5.
I agree. The top 6, top 7, they're all nasty competitors now.
I just want to see, like, Andrew looked dramatically bigger in Pittsburgh than he was in the past.
Huge, dude.
So when he diets down, what is that going to look like now? How much has he put on?
Because Chris told me he's not lost an ounce of weight, and he's getting leaner from Pittsburgh. 300 and something pounds.
Dude, he was really big in Pittsburgh because we were sitting next to him. Adeline, my daughter, that was her first bodybuilding show as a teenager.
Yeah.
And she's sitting next to Andrew, and I'm just looking, and she's like, he's so big. Like, dude, he was a free shoulders. Yeah, dude, huge guy. Sweet guy, too. Really nice fella.
Yes.
But I think that Nick, if he shows up like he did in New York, I think that's where he's going to slip up. Because
he won't. I think he'll be improved.
I think he will too. I think it was just something that I don't know if it was just getting his legs back under it.
Yeah, Nick just needs to just come in the way Nick wants to come in and not worry about we want you ripped and we want you. Yes, just do you, and that's what you're going to get.
It's tough because you want everyone's input, but at the end of the day, like, what made you is why you are what you are.
That's it. Yep.
Like, just do you, dude. Just come in your best version of you, and it's going to be great. Not what everyone thinks you should be. Because Nick, I was talking to somebody back home. They were like, Nick's going to show up and look like Nick, and they're like, he's like the freaky white Dexter Jackson. I'm like, because he would just show up and be Nick every time, and then whenever he started trying to do something else, it just didn't work out. But Nick would show up in shape because the dude has some of the best posing. Like, he doesn't
knows how to hit the shots
every time. Like, he can just hold it for 8 seconds every time, and then move to the next one. 8 seconds.
Well, every morning on Instagram, he's posting pictures, right?
Same thing.
Yeah.
Every day. And that's something where I'm like, I wish Crizzo would have did. Like, I was like, post better. Do whatever Nick's doing, you should do, Crizzo.
He's not going to be in the show this year, you know?
No, I know. I just started. I didn't know he an injury. I didn't know what it was, though.
Some of your shoulder injuries.
But we talked about someone missing that we talk about as one of the contenders. There's our first one out.
Yep.
Rizzo's first.
I think that creates an opportunity for Martin Fitzwater.
Does, yes.
I think that's where
good.
he is good. I like Martin a lot. I think that this is where he could really come up and creep in and just do something, be in that top 6, top 7 discussion. Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting year. We just got to see who else qualifies.
Yeah.
Because there's only about 8 more shows left to qualify, and a bunch of guys who are already qualified are going to keep doing these shows.
Well, you got Hunter and Andrew still need to qualify. So, like, where are those guys going to take up the U.S. or what's Andrew's doing?
Andrew
Texas?
said he's doing Texas.
Andrew's doing Texas because
Hunter's doing an
Italy.
international. That's
he's
right.
doing Italy.
Yep.
Who else is doing Italy? We know.
I wouldn't be surprised if Beth Ruse does those shows.
Yeah, dude. How about him? Nathan's got to do another show, but I don't even know if Nathan can get here. That's what they were saying.
Nathan's doing. He told me he's doing Portugal. I chatted with him the other day. Portugal, which is this weekend, but I think Bonnick is doing it. I'm not sure. I could be wrong, but I think Bonnick's doing Dubai.
Yeah, Dubai's coming up. That's on 100,000 first. Yeah.
What?
100,000 for first.
Oh yeah, you're gonna get some. You're gonna be showing up.
Are you excited to watch the Olympia?
I am fucking amped. I'm coming this year for sure. I'm in for it because I actually want Hannah to watch it. I want to. I don't know, because it's what I love. Like that whole, I love this sport. I always will. I pay attention to it. I see everybody. It's good to see people succeed, and it sucks whenever you see somebody screw up or anything, but it's such a cool industry. It's such a cool sport. Even though there's people that are like, oh, it's, this or that. And it's like, no, dude, it's pretty cool. Like, a lot goes into it. And this is, we all love it for some odd reason. I think I'm excited to see where Martin ends up. I think that's the one where I'm the most excited because Martin, he was in really shitty headspace years ago. Now, like, he's just, he showed up healed as fuck for New York. Polished, looked great. And now I'm like, cool. Like, you stood next to Nick and people were having a hard discussion about it. So where can you show up in the future? So I'm excited for him.
Yeah, he's one of the new guys.
Yeah.
Youngest in the show, I think.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, he'll be the youngest guy, I'm pretty sure.
I saw a picture of Regan yesterday too. Maybe 2 days ago.
Pretty big.
How big? I'm
Low 300s.
really.
He's in Canada right now.
He's another one that I'm like, can you just put it all together and show everybody who you actually are?
We're waiting.
Can you please do that? Because he has such a cool looking physique. He has every gym bro that wants to have a phenomenal physique is what
Including the hair and everything.
Yeah,
dude.
everything, dude. So handsome, so young. You're cute. You're handsome. The women love you. You have a great physique. And dudes are like, fuck, that's what I wished I looked like.
And he's the nicest guy ever, you know? It's like...
I met him 2016 or 2017, Arnold. Just a sweetheart of a guy before he turned pro. And I'm like, he's talking all nice. I'm like, dude, just do a good job, man. Live it up. And then he went and won, and it's awesome.
Yeah, he's.
I like Reed.
He's in Canada right now. Him and I have to go to China in 2 weeks, and then from China we go straight to Dubai. So both of our passports are with the Chinese consulate right now. So he's in Canada waiting to get his passport back.
Get out.
Otherwise, he'd be here.
They have a trade event for his sponsor.
We have to go for Yamamoto. We have to go to Beijing, and then we go straight to Dubai for New Tech.
Nice.
So we're going to be a 2+ week trip.
I'm fascinated by overseas travel. I am. Cultures.
Whenever you're ready, we'll get you something.
I don't know if I could handle. I always wanted to go to Dubai. I want to go to the Middle East, especially after talking to Andrew and Samson. They were like, "Dude, you got to go. The people are so awesome. They're gonna love you. It's super cool." But I enjoy traveling for culture. Like even traveling within the United States. You go down south.
It's a different world.
It's not the same as up north. You go to New York City, like people are just complete assholes, but it's not because they don't like you. It's just who they are. It's like, oh, okay, this is different. Yeah. And then going down south and then going to Texas, it's just, and West Coast food's different than East Coast food.
Yeah.
So even just traveling internationally, I always wanted to do more of it.
You should. Where have you been?
Australia, Mexico, Canada. That's all I've been.
No FIBOs or...
No, we were going to go to FIBO in 2020, and then it got canceled because
FIBO is
every year
obscene.
Awesome. I want to go to Germany bad just to see... I just want to travel to see architecture and culture. Food,
sounds like
people. Super cool.
I've been traveling heavy for 20 years.
Yeah, dude.
Every time I go somewhere, I'll go off on my own and go find old churches, old mosques, old Buddhist temples, old architecture.
The history in those countries are much, much older than what we have here. So it's just fascinating.
Him and I went to Romania, and not the next weekend, the weekend after, Regan was competing in Italy. Yeah. So instead of flying home for 5 days, I'm just staying. So I just woke up that morning and I went, I'm going to Turkey. So I went to Turkey and I went and saw the Hagia Sophia, and I saw all the underground caverns, and I for 2 days I just walked around. And then from there I'm like, I got 3 more days. I'm like, oh, there's a direct flight to Vienna. I'm going to Vienna. And I got on I had a torn tendon in my foot, but I got on one of those little birds, and I just for 3 days I just rolled around the city. Yeah, I had coffee, got local food.
Bob's wife qualified for Worlds with an Ironman, and they're going to Nice, France, and I think Hannah and I are going to tag along for it.
Got Nice, and go just north is Monaco. Oh. It's right. You can't fly. You fly to Nice to go to Monaco. Go to Monaco just because that's Monaco.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah, you got to go check it.
You traveled all over
the place. Years. That's one thing bodybuilding's blessed me with, and I'm not like you guys. I mean, I when I get there, I'm okay, but the thought of getting on the plane and that time and
pretend that doesn't exist.
The sleep schedule, and listen, I land and I train. You'll ask me, I'll always go right to the gym, and I just love it.
Where's some of the where would you say
Australia was great for me. I did Peru. I did some stuff in Chile, which I liked a lot.
Why would you say those places?
I got to experience the culture a lot. I went to an orphanage, and the food was really good. I mean, I remember I like going in places and trying the food, and I feel in Europe the food is much better than what we get here.
Yes.
And I'm a person that I like to eat out almost every single day, and that may be the same thing, but at least I just love that experience, because having to be, like you said, on that schedule for so long and being told what to eat, I can choose. I don't have to portion food, and I can. Not that I tried like desserts and that stuff. Not to say I won't, but I will. I just like the experience, right? Of
So Peru.
the freedom. Peru was pretty cool. Yeah, it was really nice to travel to, and I felt like everyone took such great care of me. Turkey was cool. I like going to Germany. Like, I feel Germany is a great spot. Like, we go and, I mean, we
go every year.
This time, and
Every year.
I got to tour the best scenery I've ever seen. I drove through Germany to Austria.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe. I was luckily had a van driver, so I could witness like all the mountains, and it was like in the spring, so there was still like a lot of snow. And I understand why Arnold was so heavy into skiing for so long, and he would go over there. And I went to Oktoberfest when it was in Germany one year. Nice. I went to Ireland. I was there for a wedding, which was cool. But I think Australia I liked the most. I toured the whole country. The people were the nicest. I feel the fitness community is really big there.
I enjoyed Australia.
Every place, but I don't have, like, I've never been to China. I went to Japan.
Japan's on my bucket list.
Yeah, I went there.
I've been to, I lived in Hong Kong for 2 years.
Yeah.
So right. I've been to pretty much every country except North Korea.
Wild.
That part of the world. Yeah.
I mean,
I miss it.
Really?
Loved it.
Get out of here.
I loved it.
Man.
I'm not this sounds weird when I say this. I'm just a world citizen.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool because the more I travel, like I went to Mexico 3 times this year. I went for that humanitarian trip. Mm-hmm. We went down to the Baja Coast for 5 days, and then we went for Felix's event, and then Hannah and I went back for a vacation.
Yeah,
and it's like, I don't know, the culture is just so cool. The people, it's like that's who they are, where they are, what they do, and like if you can open up and just accept it, it's a cool experience. Like
I think Americans are kind of taught that we're the best and everyone else isn't this, that, and the other until you start traveling around the world and you go, and there's good people everywhere. There's shitty people everywhere too.
But you're allowed. You should be excited and proud of where you're from.
Yes,
even if it has a little bit of a fucked up history, no matter what it may be. Like
nowhere's perfect.
Like, yeah, you can't go to Germany and be like, you know what, all you guys. But it's like no. It's okay.
There's a history too.
Everybody has a history everywhere, but it's like you should just. There's culture. There's the food tells a story. The architecture tells a story, and there's so much history everywhere. It's like I'm into it.
When I went to my girls from South Africa, so we went down there. We went to Mozambique, and every time we'd go out, they'd say, "What do you want?" And I would just ask the waiter, "What's the most popular thing here?" That's what I'm eating.
Yeah,
I don't care what it is. I want to try it.
Yeah,
because again, food and culture, and one thing that you realize, like. When we go to the Middle East, a lot of Americans assume it's the Middle East, it's bad.
Yeah.
Dude, people just want to live. They want their kids to have more than they did. And the people there, they love.
Jordan was really nice too. And everyone is, oh my God, you going to Jordan? And it was like beautiful. It was good.
Well, that's what Andrew and Samson said. Cause I was like, beautiful. I was like, what do you think of me going there? And they're like, what do you mean? They're going to love it. People are going to love it. I was like, oh.
Yeah, we went to Budapest and we
that trip. Oh God, that trip we went from Charlotte to Budapest to Dubai to Kuwait to Jordan to Boston.
We did a lot of big tours. I mean, that's the one thing. There's a world of experience. I'll never stop doing. I'll never do nothing. I'll never say, hey, I want to sell it all and I want to kick back on a beach. Like that's the hard thing. I'm a routine guy. So, yes, it's great to travel, but, man, do I love being in here in Las Vegas. This is the biggest playground you can deal with.
We talked about this one time. We were flying back. I don't remember where we were, somewhere around the world. And as we're coming in, he looked over at me. He's like, you guys, we live in Las Vegas. Yeah. People save all year or for 5 years to come here for a weekend. We live here.
We were just saying that. I said, that's what I said. I was like, everybody at all these hotels, we're at the Wynn, and the Wynn is massive. It's awesome. And I'm like, you know how many people are in this right now? And there are people in every single hotel that save to come here. I was like, no matter what, they love this place. And I'm like, this is crazy. Did you move here because of the Olympia?
No, I moved here to buy real estate.
That's what it was.
And the Olympia was here, so that was a beneficial thing, too. So 99 was the first year.
Mandalay Bay.
Yep. And then I moved here in 2002 when after 9/11 happened, everything was discounted. I was trying to buy a home in Southern California. I had a condo, and I was starting to look at homes in a place called Temecula, which is actually where Milos lived. It was near the vineyards and stuff.
Yeah.
The house I looked at for $1.4 million, I looked at a house up here in Summerlin was $350,000, and I said,
What am
I talked to my accountant the next day. I said, I'm thinking about moving to Nevada. What do you think? He said, go. You're going to save that much money. And I never realized
taxes
it would
alone.
change my life. So
Dude,
I came and I bought property after property. I started winning shows. Every show I won, I bought a piece of property. And
Really?
that was the beginning of like what built my today.
Yeah.
I mean, it financed my life for all my business. And, you know, I still do a million different things, but I still live off what that is. And that all was produced from bodybuilding. You know, I won Arnold Classic, 100,000, won a Hummer truck, sold it, 65,000, won another one the next year, sold it, 100,000, Olympia, 75. You know, it's just, when you get a check like that, it changes your life.
Yes, it does.
Listen, 5K, 2K, that's great. But when you get $100,000 in the early 2000s,
That's 20 years ago.
Yes.
it's life-changing.
And I use you as like because whenever you've talked about this so many times, and you're like, just continue to invest, continue to do this, and don't stop. And like, because that life-changing money, when that life-changing money comes into play, don't just go buy dumb shit. Don't do it.
And listen, I've bought a lot of dumb shit because I can afford to buy it.
But yeah, when
Like,
you can afford
you
to
know,
buy it,
yes.
yeah. But that's years and years down the road. But it's like because I don't know, if you make $1 million and spend $1 million, you ain't got no more $1 million left. You know what I mean? You're still in the same position as if somebody made $60,000 and spent $60,000. You just got some more expensive shit. But if it all ends today, you ain't got none left. And it's like I
reinvest, hence the reason you're moving into a new facility,
yes,
new podcast studio.
yes,
You need
Invest it
to
or give it to the government.
Yes, you need to
give it to the government. Stop that.
You're going to give it, yeah, you're going
You got to give some of it to them.
Yes, but you also need to give back in order to innovate to get to the next spot. Right?
Yeah, for sure. It's and me having kids, that's where it gets scared.
How are you doing it for the kids? Right?
Yeah, that's everything in my daughter's part, and she's gonna go to college. I'm like, it's gonna be expensive. It ain't getting no cheaper, and I don't think she's gonna get financial aid. I don't think the government's gonna give it to me.
So you just got to do some more dumb shit to make some more money, and then you're good.
No. That's everybody's like, listen, if you do another show, you're gonna make way more money.
We are so happy that you came to chat with us. We are going to do this again, whether it's in Pittsburgh or outside, wherever you're.
Yeah, right outside of Pittsburgh.
What's it going to be? What's the office?
It's 30 minutes
location?
outside of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we will be traveling. I will be coming out to one of Jim's shows in the future. I guess it's going to be a big event this time.
Yeah, they're shooting for it to be pretty big.
Expo Hall or whatever. Yep. So I'm really happy with the success. I can't wait to see your GNC launch out. We'll have to pick up some of your newest drink over there.
Oh, I appreciate it. It's an honor. I like I said, whenever we started, you were my bodybuilding idol.
I hope you hit some extra reps when you get back to Pittsburgh after our conversation.
Next time we see you, you'll be
no,
240?
I'm not getting bigger, but I hope you think of like, hey, Jay's hitting it 7 days a week.
Yeah, I need to step up my game. I can't let Jay being older than me kicking my ass, looking better.
But if you know how much shit he takes,
I know.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
we make that joke all the time, and I'm like, well, you're on 10,000 milligrams.
We'll go into the gym, and he'll be like, come on, push it. He's like, you're taking 1,000 mgs. He says it loud as shit, and the whole gym stares at me. I'm like, thanks, Dick.
They're like, it might be fake. It's not real.
Well, I got it from you, so it must be fake. No, I'm just kidding.
No, dude, it's awesome. Thank you. It's an honor, and I mean,
tell Bob we were disappointed he didn't jump in. We talked about him jumping in our podcast.
I told him, I said, come, and he goes,
I know you're just finishing the trade show.
Yeah,
today,
that's what
right?
he was. He didn't tell me he was invited.
Oh.
I think he let me bathe in the glory in the.
Well, the next time we'll have him on. We'll do
seriously,
a 4 of us.
you guys come to Pittsburgh, love anything cool shit. Come in, we'll do. I don't know. We'll give you.
No, we got to get Jay to shoot some guns.
Yeah. We'll do all kind of stuff.
Chop some wood and
chop some wood. We're gonna shoot.
I don't wear flannel shirts though.
Oh,
are you still doing flannels, or
Yeah,
you
we
done
got
with the
some in the
flannels?
fall.
Oh.
Yeah.
I already.
And then you could do cannonball in the pool like you did when you were
Did you have a name tag on the shirt too, or
no name tag. I mean, there was
a tag on it or something.
no, no.
I know what
for
we're doing.
video.
We are gonna take a trip there so his team can shoot a commercial for you with some funny shit.
We'll do all kind of fun.
Gonna make
stuff.
you
It'll be
uncomfortable,
fun.
and it's gonna do great.
Yeah.
You never told me what your favorite commercial was. Let's end it with.
The farm-fed videos will always be my favorite. The farm-fed ones, farm-fed ones. The big melons. That actually, I'd say the big melons is my favorite.
And that was the one where your mom. It's something about someone's mom.
No, that was your mom's sweet peach.
Oh, okay.
There was that one went really well. That was up there, but the big melons one.
Find the melon so I can see
I was just
it,
going to say this is what I need you to do. Bob, make sure Bob sends it to me.
I'll get it to you.
When this ends right here, we're going to play the commercial. We're going to put it in the podcast.
Yep, we'll put it on. Thank you. It's awesome, my man.
We appreciate it so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks again. Awesome.